What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories.
1I-001. The Calamity of Birth in the Eyes of Celestial Dragons, Yohbach Template. Sanctuary Mariejois. I can't see, I can't hear, I can't make a sound, a pair of red pupils. An unknown person was born. This child is definitely a punishment from the heavens. It is a devil, a ghost. Sure enough, the noble celestial dragon's bloodline must not let any humble bloodline get involved. In a delivery room, several celestial dragons gathered together, their faces full of terror. And the reason for the fear was being held in the arms of a maid who had just been born in this world with a baby boy with the blood of celestial dragons. Soon, with the arrival of a team of escorts, there was a heart-piercing cry from a grieving woman in the room. "This is my child, what are you doing? You can't do that. Maria, give up. This child is a symbol of disaster, and the bloodline of celestial dragons absolutely does not allow any black spots to exist. Therefore, we must erase this hidden danger." An older celestial dragon descends to the bed, surrounded by guards. Later, it was an elder celestial dragon with a cold expression, ignoring the woman's begging, and snatched the child from the maid's arms. Immediately afterwards, the woman was ordered to be thrown off the red line in despair. After the woman witnessed this moment with her own eyes, she also died on the bed not long after the great sorrow and labor consumed a lot of energy. Not only did the celestial dragons present not show any sadness when they saw this scene. Instead, the collective secretly revealed a hint of joy. After all, a lowly bloodline could be part of the celestial dragons, which they wouldn't want to be. If you die now, you will die, which just saves them the trouble to deal with it in the future. Moreover, they heard it clearly just now. That adult ordered that child to be thrown from the red line. Take the distance from the red line to the sea below. There is no doubt that in the vast sea full of dangers and sea kings, a newborn baby boy absolutely would not have survived at all. In this way, even the bastards who dare to lay their hands on the blood of the noble celestial dragons will completely disappear from this world. However, the celestial dragons present, and everyone in this room, would never have imagined. Everything that happened at this moment was seen by the baby boy who they regarded as disaster and unknown. And their move will also lay the groundwork for the future destiny and become the beginning of Mariejois being subverted. See Circle Calendar. 1502. Calm Belt. Amazon Lily. A nearby island is full of beasts. A teenager with unique temperament and black hair is sitting on top of a large and formidable beast. "It has been 10 years since I came to this world. I was born blind, unable to hear, unable to make a sound." The young man murmured, and suddenly raised his head to look in a direction towards the sea. His blind red pupils flickered with an indifference that didn't belong to his age group. Being born is regarded as a disaster, an ominous symbol, and a time traveler like me should be counted as the only one. The boy at this moment is the baby boy who was abandoned by the Mariejois celestial dragons who lived in the Holy Land 10 years ago. Bai Ye, this was his previous name. Although Bai Ye didn't know why he traveled to the world of the world's best-selling manga, One Piece, on Blue Star. But Bai Ye clearly remembered everything that happened outside on the day he was born. "I thought that I had become the celestial dragons in the anime who were born to do whatever they wanted, and I stood at the end at the beginning. But I didn't expect that the day I was born would be regarded as disaster, unknown, punishment from heaven, devil. And thinking of the mother who died the same day because of the excessive grief that gave birth to him in this world." Bai Ye's red eyes that didn't match the age group showed a coldness in the depths. As a time traveler, he knows the faces of celestial dragons living in the Holy Land too well. What disasters and unknowns are nothing but excuses made up purely to achieve their own goals. The impure blood of celestial dragons is the root cause of rejection. However, as time went by, Bai Ye didn't care much about these things. Because since he is regarded as an unknown disaster, was born in this world. So sooner or later, he will naturally let those ugly celestial dragons get their wish and subvert the whole world. And this is not Bai Ye's fantasy. As a traverser, Bai Ye found out that he was born with a cheat. And that cheat, nothing else, but the biggest boss in the Millennium Bloody Battle chapter of Shinigami, the common ancestor of all Quincy Masters, the founder of the Invisible Empire, and the Yohbach template. Thanks to the soul gift ability inherent in the Yohbach template, only Bai Ye can tame this island full of beasts, and complement himself by constantly absorbing the souls of various beasts that return after death. First, mobility, sound, hearing, and now only vision that is about to be restored. Sudden roar. In the forest clearing, a large beast beside Bai Ye got up and looked towards the dense jungle area. Just 6 or 7 meters tall, the orangutan beast with strong black hair was about to pounce. Bai Ye's flat voice sounded. "Xiao He, be quiet." As soon as the words fell, the movement of the large orangutan beast stopped almost immediately, like a loyal soldier continuing to crawl aside. But there is no need to have the slightest doubt, once someone dares to be unfavorable to Bai Ye. The little black Zetsu tore it to pieces together with several dominant beasts on the island at the first time. They absolutely do not allow any danger to appear beside the god. But at this moment, Bai Ye lazily stood up, looking helplessly in the direction that made Xiao He angry. Although he can't see, his sensitivity to sound has reached an extremely pervert level. Come out, the three of you have been spotted before you get close, how long are you going to hide? Following Bai Ye's voice fell. Not long after, in a clearing in the forest, three girls with different hair colors appeared. It's just that compared to the black-haired girl who has seen that she must be an amazing beauty in the future, she is very familiar with Bai Ye, and the brown and green girls are extremely timid. Hancock. Sensing someone coming, Bai Ye turned over, stepped forward and squeezed Hancock's face habitually, and said, "These two are the sisters you mentioned, Boa Sandersonia, and Boa Marigold, right?" The dull red eyes seemed to be really looking at the two of them, ignoring Hancock's angry attempt to fight. Bai Ye continued. "It's not good to sneak out of Nine Snake Island at this age. Didn't you say that you should use the phone bug to notify me before coming here? What if you are caught by traffickers?" Hancock listened to Bai Ye, who was obviously younger than her, complaining, and waved his fist in disbelief. "We are the female warriors of Nine Snake Island. Those who have learned the power of hockey, ordinary bad guys are not my opponents." After finishing speaking, Hancock, who was dissatisfied with being pinched, showed tiger teeth and wanted to bite Bai Ye, but the bite was empty, and he could only fold his arms and said unevenly, "Also, I'm older than you should call me sister." Hearing this, Bai Ye nodded to the Empress who was cold in the future and said, Okay, call me brother. Hey, you finally admitted." A smug smile just appeared on Hancock's face, but he immediately realized that he was about to charge forward with a roaring dragon gesture. Unfortunately, facing the two large beasts standing up suddenly behind Bai Ye, Hancock still had no choice but to give up this idea and stomp his feet. Sensing this scene, Bai Ye couldn't help shaking his head while laughing in his heart. As a time traveler, he really couldn't connect the cold and world's #1 beauty in the future, Empress Hancock, with the young Hancock in front of him. However, considering Hancock's experience in the original book, the coldness in Bai Ye's eyes couldn't help but aggravate. Some things, it is better to be completely subverted sooner or later. The reason why Bai Ye met Hancock was that he was able to live on Beast Island near Nine Snake Island. This starts from the day Bai Ye was thrown out of Red Line. At that time, Bai Ye thought that his baby self might really die. Unexpectedly, he met Shaki, the current Empress of Nine Snake Island. Shaki felt sympathy for a baby who could be ruthlessly thrown off the Red Line. "I wanted to bring it back to Nine Snake Island. But because of Bai Ye's gender, even if Shaki is the current Empress, she cannot modify the ancestral precepts of Nine Snake Island at will. So Shaki chose to put Bai Ye on an island near Nine Snake Island to take care of her. When Bai Ye is older, Shaki will order people to send some food supplies to Bai Ye from time to time. In this way, Bai Ye became the only male in the entire Nine Snake Island sphere of influence. Although he had never really set foot on the country of daughters, it caused a shock on Ju Snake Island, where he had never seen a man. And Hancock, who was at the playful age in front of him. It was a few years ago that I got acquainted with Bai Ye secretly hiding inside the supply ship and came to this island. At that time, if Bai Ye had not used the soul gift ability to control most of the beasts, Hancock would definitely have died in the tiger's mouth. 002. Sister Hancock. But then again, Bai Ye turned his head and looked at the clearly visible Nine Snake Island not far from the sea. The Hancock sisters can successfully sneak out of Snake Island, where everyone has the power of two-color hockey. Except that Hancock is defaulted to be the next Empress. Bai Ye can't believe that Hancock and others have such good luck every time. Except for the tacit approval of Shaki. What's more important should be the amazingly powerful horror talent that Bai Ye has shown. Although he was born unable to see, hear, speak, or even move. However, under the continuous absorption of the souls of various beasts returning after death, it is supplemented. Bai Ye gained mobility at the age of 3, regained her voice at the age of 5, and regained her hearing at the age of 8. In the eyes of outsiders, this must be an incredible miracle, a person who defeated fate. But Bai Ye is very clear. With the recycling of souls that are constantly being given away, he is far more than just returning to a normal person. The horror perception far surpasses knowledge, and its scope can easily cover the entire island and even touch the sea. The terrifying hearing that can hear the movement of a leaf falling, the whole world will be displayed in Bai Ye's heart in black and white. Physique, not to lose to any big beast, near constant stamina and growing Reiatsu. And, there is also the power to use the soul gift, to tame wild beasts and be regarded as a god. As the time goes, this gradually made Shaki, the current Empress of Nine Snake Island, realize that the baby boy was thrown from the Red Line. He is not a disaster from heaven at all, a person cursed by the world. It is a monster that even the world is jealous of the super talent. Otherwise, it is impossible to explain why the baby boy was born with no eyesight, no hearing, no voice, and even no body movement. As time goes by, not only can he survive, but he can also recover the missing senses, showing a terrifying talent far beyond his peers. All this cannot be explained by common sense at all. And at this time, elder brother, elder brother. The voices in the clearing were Hancock's two timid sisters, Boa Sandersonia, and Boa Marigold. Hearing this, Bai Ye stretched out his hands and rubbed the heads of the two of them who wanted to dodge in satisfaction. Hey, that's great, it doesn't look like someone. Wow, you two younger sisters actually betrayed my elder sister. On the side, Hancock couldn't help pinching his waist with both hands when he saw his two younger sisters who had turned to the enemy decisively when they saw him being deflated. The two younger sisters turned to the enemy too quickly. You know, she persisted for several days at the beginning. If she hadn't come here out of curiosity, Bai Ye would not have yelled that shameful word when she was surrounded by ferocious beasts. Obviously she was just curious about what the man looked like, but she didn't expect to have a brother, who was obviously younger than herself. Sister. Sonia and Marigold mistakenly think that Hancock is angry, and quickly hide behind their new brother. You. Hancock wanted to show that he was the majesty of the older sister. But when facing Bai Ye, Hancock seemed to be deflated again, and could only pout. Because even if you don't want to admit it, she really has nothing to do with the boy in front of her who is clearly 1 year younger. Even at a young age, she has mastered the power of hockey, and is known as the genius of geniuses on Hydra Island. But every time she sneaks onto this island, only then did she understand that the genius among geniuses is only the praise of the people on Nine Snake Island. On top of geniuses, there are monsters. And Bai Ye, who is 1 year younger than her in front of her, is definitely a monster. Otherwise, how can we arbitrarily drive those large beasts exuding extremely dangerous aura? However, Hancock was not discouraged. Looking at the two younger sisters who resolutely surrendered to the enemy, and the hateful Bai Ye who pinched her face every time, Hancock secretly cheered in his heart. Sooner or later, I will definitely surpass you and make you call me sister obediently. Well, I will pinch it back then. This thought was born. Hancock reintroduced the two parties, which made the two younger sisters familiar with the elder brother. In order to prevent the next time the two sisters sneak out with her and be attacked by the beasts on this island. Then, Sister Hancock stayed for a while. She was going to take back the two younger sisters who sneaked out with Bai Ye by her side first, and she would go back sooner. After all, the three sisters slipped out together, but it was very easy for the adults on Nine Snake Island to find out. She didn't want to be scolded by her mother-in-law. Sudden. Just when Hancock was ready to act. This is a sound of warning coming from the distant Nine Snake Island. This is signal to summon female warriors. Hancock and his two younger sisters subconsciously looked in the direction of Nine Snakes Island in the sea. They who have lived on Nine Snake Island since childhood are very familiar with this. Every time this signal appears, it means that there are enemies outside Jew Snake Island. Could it be that another hateful villain invaded? My lord, what should I do? My mother-in-law said that as long as the signal is sent, those who do not need to fight on Nine Snake Island must rush back as soon as possible. Boya Sanasonia's complexion changed slightly and she walked out. Another younger sister, Boya Marigold, also showed concern on her face. They didn't sneak out of the supply ship this time, because it would be too easy for adults to find out. So the three chose to take a small rowing boat. It's too late to rush back to Nine Snake Island now. Don't panic, it's okay. There should be still time. Hancock frowned slightly, trying to calm down. She showed her responsibility as a sister and comforted the two sisters who left Jew Snake Island for the first time. It's just a group of bad guys from the outside world. The mother-in-law and the female soldiers dispatched will definitely make the bad guys come and go. And my sister is also very strong, and can definitely protect you. Sister. Sana Sonia and Marigold gradually calmed down after some comfort. Aside, Bai Ye feels Hancock who has shown the talent of leadership, and he is surprised that he is worthy of the future empress. But, it's just that it may be too late for the Hancock sisters to hurry back to Hydra. Because at the moment when the warning sounded on Jew Snake Island just now, Bai Ye relies on his powerful perception ability. He has already noticed that another group of people took the opportunity to bypass the defense line of Nine Snake Island in front and touched the island under his feet. Apparently, this group of people did not come well, and they planned to take advantage of the emptiness behind them to sneak attack Nine Snakes Island. And the best cover is naturally this seemingly uninhabited island under Bai Ye's feet. So, my luck is really not very good. Bai Ye analyzed from the bottom of his heart, and then felt the group of people approaching quickly, and he thought about it again. However, if I didn't exist and took away the souls returned by a large number of beasts on the island after death, those people would be eaten by the beasts as food. In a sense, it can be regarded as the butterfly effect brought by me. Also, Bai Ye rubbed his black broken hair, facing the rapidly approaching enemy, his dim red pupils looked very calm. I can try the recently awakened power, I hope this group of people will not let me down. 003. Slave Trader, Bai Ye, okay, what do you think? How did I change? Advertise here. ... And at this time, that's when Bai Ye was born with this idea. After Hancock had comforted the two sisters to calm down gradually, Hancock thinks of Bai Ye who lives here alone. She clenched her hands tightly, only hesitating for a moment. Hancock made a decision. She planned to break the ancestral precepts passed down from generation to generation on Nine Snake Island and take Bai Ye, a man, back with her. Although she will inevitably be punished, she can't care so much now. Bai Ye, who is alone, cannot be left when this kind of outsider invades Nine Snake Island. However, before Hancock could speak, a burst of ecstatic laughter had sounded from the forest near the clearing. This is, someone, etc. Ha 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 ha. Look, we are going to get rich. Those 3 little girls are definitely from Nine Snake Island. I didn't expect our luck to be so good. We encountered extremely sought-after goods as soon as we came up. This is a group of excited strong men came to this open space. There are 7 or 8 people in number. Sister Hancock was gazing with ecstasy and beaming eyes at the forest clearing. In their eyes, it seems that what they see is not a person, but a commodity that can make them a lot of money. That's right, it's a commodity. Bai Ye beside Hancock had a hint of coldness in his calm eyes. In this bloody dark world, slave trade is a black industry that the world government tacitly approves of. Whether it is people, objects, or beasts, they are all slave commodities that can be sold. Although the former is less valuable than the latter. But it also depends on who it is. On the black market, a normal human male can be sold for 500,000 berries, and a woman for 1 million berries. This price is considered a recognized standard. But if the human beings sold are rare races, such as murlocs, mermaids, fur tribes, etc., the value can be measured far beyond 1,000,000 Baileys. But in it, there is also a very special one. For example, a girl from Nine Snake Island who was born in the legendary Daughter Country. The current price on the black market, it is priceless. Because no one has ever successfully caught a girl on Nine Snake Island as a slave trader. One can imagine. Originally, I just wanted to sneak attack Nine Snake Island, to see if I could take the opportunity to try my luck. But here I found Sister Hancock, who was still a young girl who could be upright and develop. What a huge surprise this was to them as slave traders. It's no different from a pie in the sky. Ecstasy. All of a sudden, it appeared in the hearts of this group of people. Sister, my lord, Santa Sonia and Marigold saw this scene. They, who had never seen an alien invader, suddenly panicked and approached Hancock subconsciously. How did these people get here? Hancock was a little unbelievable at this moment, subconsciously clenched his palms, and approached the trustworthy Bai Ye. But obviously, Hancock's palms were sweating unknowingly. Hancock, who manifested this experience, was also facing it for the first time. At this time, the group who thought they wanted to make a fortune also found Bai Ye next to Hancock and a large beast beside him. After all, Bai Ye's outstanding appearance and red pupils are extremely conspicuous in the crowd. But the group of slave traders did not panic. Because the current scene has proved one thing. On this deserted island near Nine Snake Island, there are only 3 girls from Nine Snake Island and 1 imp. Although those large beasts looked troublesome, they were nothing more than beasts after all. Considering that the most difficult female warriors on Nine Snake Island have no time to pay attention here. In other words, accepting this batch of goods is already a sure thing. So, the fat slave trader headed by a mouth studded with big gold teeth showed a disgusting smile, and stood in the open space as he approached, spreading his hands in disdain. Hey, look, that guy is still a kid, but he's also a man, right? From this point of view, it turns out that there are no men on Jew Snake Island like the rumors, ha ha ha. Sure enough, no matter how beautiful a woman is, she needs a man to nourish her. Several slave traders looked at each other. He laughed as if he had discovered some secret, and kept swearing. Although Hancock and the 2 younger sisters couldn't understand, their little faces showed anger. Because these bad guys are definitely not saying anything good. Damn. Can I just fight? Hancock turned his head to glance at the 2 younger sisters, and clenched a pair of pink fists. But in the eyes of a group of nearby slave traders, it was extremely ridiculous. Little sister, don't resist. It's not good if Lousy hurts you. After all, you are an extremely valuable commodity. You can't leave any harm. Lousy will rely on you for his luxurious life in the future. Ha ha ha. While saying this, several strong men looked at each other, and rushed over without any explanation. Hancock's face changed slightly, and he left a sentence to tell Bai Ye to protect her 2 younger sisters, and not care about fighting so much. For a while, Hancock, who was only 11 years old, was able to fight against several grown men at the same time without losing the wind. Sister is so strong. Amazing. Seeing this scene, Sonia and Marigold showed excitement on their small faces. Bai Ye, who was left on the side, frowned slightly. Of course he was well aware of Hancock's situation. Although only 11 years old. But Hancock was carefully cultivated by Nine Snake Island as the next empress. Her current strength will definitely not lose to any adult, coupled with the mastery of 2-color hockey. Not to mention 4 or 5 adults, even the ordinary pirates who offer a reward of more than 1 million may not be able to get benefits from Hancock. This is the talent of the future pirate empress. But where is the age gap after all? Whether it is physical strength, endurance, or the amount of hockey, it cannot be compared with adults. What's more, the slave trader who secretly dared to touch the vicinity of Nine Snake Island was definitely not an ordinary person. No one has a reward of tens of millions, but he has no guts to secretly try to go to the Nine Snake Island where hockey users are all over the place. Therefore, Hancock is 1 against 4, which is definitely a great feat on the outside. And at this time, as the battle progresses, what Bai Ye expected still started to happen. In the beginning, Hancock could not lose the wind, and even did it with ease. But as time goes by, the double consumption of physical strength and armed color is greatly reduced. I saw Hancock repelling one person for a short while, ignoring the crystal sweat that had quietly oozed from his forehead. She raised her foot with a weapon, trying to hit another strong man who adjusted his state and rushed up again. In the end, due to the lack of follow-up strength due to double consumption, he did not repel the opponent, but was bounced back by the powerful counter-shock force. Sister. When this scene appeared, the hearts of Santa Sonia and Marigold who were watching the battle tightened. The two were trying to use their weak bodies to help. But a figure was faster than the two of them. With a soft body in his arms and the unique fragrance of a girl in his mouth, he caught Hancock who was about to fall heavily to the ground ahead of time. It was none other than Bai Ye who had anticipated all this. Sister Sama X2. Behind them, Santa Sonia and Marigold rushed over. Sister, are you okay? The two of them were like the three little ones in the anime Ghost Slayer, checking up and down quickly, completely forgetting that Hancock was still held in Bai Ye's arms in a princess hug. And Hancock, who has never used this kind of almost zero-distance contact with men, coupled with the two younger sisters who kept asking, Hancock, who was a little confused, felt a lot of strangeness in his heart for a while, and his face turned red, as if seductive. Apple wants people to take a bite. Fortunately, Bai Ye has no idea of eating tofu with a small flat figure that Hancock has not yet developed. Seeing something wrong, let it go first. Well, now is not the time for you to lie down. Bai Ye did not forget to make a joke. Who wants to lie down? When the red-faced Hancock heard this, he quickly defended himself like a bird with fried hair. The two younger sisters looked at each other, a little confused about what happened suddenly. Could it be that he was injured just now? The two were about to check again. Bai Ye has already pinched Hancock's face, turned around and said, You have worked very hard, but leave these people to me. After finishing speaking, Bai Ye's dim red pupils seemed to be sizing up the slave traders present, and the tone of his mouth was completely different from that of the Hancock sisters, revealing an ultimate indifference. Bai Ye raised his hand and seemed to ask, Okay, how do you want to die? 004. A real monster. Advertise here. Okay, how do you want to die? The moment the voice fell, an invisible coldness of ultimate seemed to turn into a real impact. Although the pair of red pupils can't see, the slave traders present were at this moment. I felt a kind of disregard for life in the world from the little ghost who was not cared about by them. It was like a disaster from hell befalling the world, making people feel cold all over, and the back of the spine couldn't stop the chills. That brat. Is this an illusion? Obviously just a little devil, what has he experienced to have such an aura? The pupils of several strong slave traders were wide open, and they looked at Bai Ye not far away in disbelief. This is definitely not the aura that a kid should have. Damn, what are you doing in a daze? Hurry up and move on. Behind him, the leader of the slave trader, whose mouth was inlaid with big gold teeth, saw his companion stop, and shouted anxiously. That guy is nothing more than a brat. Don't hurry up and get rid of him, do you want to give up the Bailey you got? As soon as the words came out, several slave traders present thought that once the legendary Hancock and his party from Nine Snakes Island were captured, they would immediately be free from worrying about spending the rest of their lives. A slave trader calmed down, got up and rushed to Bai Ye first. That's right, just a mere brat. It must be bluffing. Nothing can stop them from getting rich today. Not even a demon from hell. The speed of the people coming was very fast, and the rest of the slave traders also moved when they saw this. Facing this scene, Bai Ye revealed that his indifferent red pupils could not see the slightest sense of fluctuation. Desire and death. After all, I chose the former. Although Bai Ye knows that this group of garbage and Hancock just did not show their full strength in the battle. In the underground dark world, slave traders usually have to ensure the integrity of slaves in order to sell them at a higher price, without too many scars, flaws, etc. So several slave traders plan to use the method of constantly consuming Hancock's physical strength to catch Hancock who was finally exhausted. It is precisely because of this that Bai Ye chose to watch the battle with confidence. It won't do Hancock any harm in the future to practice more in actual combat. As well as, no matter what the result is, the moment this gang of slave traders set foot on the island where Bai Ye was, the fate of this group of slave traders was already sealed. No matter what happens, it will not affect the ending that has long been irreversible. Little Black. Seeing this group of slave traders rushing forward. The moment Bai Ye spoke calmly, a tyrannical ferocious beast's huge body covered the sun and fell to the ground. Can't wait to tear a terrified slaver to pieces while the rest fear. It was one of the overlord beasts that Bai Ye tamed on this beast-filled island. This sudden scene almost scared the other slave traders to pee, and poured cold water on them to wake up. Dare to sneak around Nine Snake Island, it shows that their strength is not simple. But it was easily torn into pieces by a beast. This shows that it is not a simple beast at all. The corpse of the companion is the best proof. Escape. At the first time, someone had this idea. But before turning around, another beast of 7 or 8 meters had already blocked the way of all the slave traders. The ferocious beast exudes endless tyranny and anger. After all, this gang of lifeless trash dared to attack their god. They were looking for death. Good. So strong. Not long. Watching the slave traders being killed one by one vulnerable, Bai Ye didn't even make a move. The faces of Hancock's 2 sisters were full of shock. Although they felt that those ferocious beasts were not simple just now, each one exuded an extremely dangerous atmosphere. But there is absolutely nothing more visually impactful than seeing the true strength of those beasts with your own eyes. Sonia and Marigold's 2 little ones turned from nervousness to excitement and looked at Bai Ye's back in admiration. Aside, Hancock had a complex expression. Because compared to the 2 younger sisters who adore Bai Ye like twinkling little stars. Hancock knows one thing all too well. Maybe those beasts who lived in calm belts since childhood are very powerful. She heard from her mother-in-law that even if they are placed outside, they have the power to slaughter the town. But compared to those beasts, what really made Hancock have no confidence in the praise of his genius in Nine Snakes Island was that he was a year younger than her. That is, the hateful brother, who pinched her face every time in front of her is the real monster of monsters living on this island. 005. All wiped out, unexpected joy, devil fruit. Advertise here. Not for a while, under the massacre of 2 unbelievably strong beasts. In the forest clearing on this deserted island, there is only a fat slave trader with a mouthful of gold teeth left at the head. You, don't come here. You kid, what kind of monster are you? Witness the blood and the smell of corpses everywhere. The fat slave trader with a mouthful of gold teeth in the lead had lost his initial self-confidence and was on the verge of collapse. The trembling legs kept retreating, and he squatted on the ground, and the pungent smell came from under his body. Obviously, he was so frightened by the bloody scene in front of him that he lost control. In the eyes of slave traders, no doubt, at this time, Bai Ye is the devil, demon, the incarnation of world disaster. Otherwise, how could they drive those ferocious beasts so strong that they could not change face in the face of such a bloody scene? And at this time, sure enough, without being endowed with the ability of holy text, can't the killed soul absorb it? Bai Ye's complexion did not change, and through his powerful perception ability, he could see the world in black and white. He came to a dead body and thought inwardly. Holy writing ability. This is one of the most perverted abilities of Yohbach in the Shinigami Millennium Blood War chapter. An adult Yohbach can drop his own blood in wine, provided he has the ability of soul sharing. The soul of the person who drank the blood wine will be engraved with a powerful word by Yohbach. Once the writing is formed, Yohbach can send a more powerful soul into the body of the person who drank the blood wine, forming a holy writing with a powerful ability that is almost rule-based. It's a very buggy ability. But more bug is affected by this ability trait, any subject killed by any member of the Order of the Star Cross empowered by Yohbach. His soul after death will be absorbed by Yohbach, so that Yohbach will continue to grow stronger. It is conceivable that this ability is more pervert. Bai Ye was innately awakened to the Yohbach template. The ability of holy writing is naturally possessed. But it is affected by the age of the body and the last item of vision. Bai Ye doesn't have any extra souls to use right now. Moreover, the holy text bestows great consumption on Bai Ye of this age group. This kind of opportunity Bai Ye didn't intend to waste it on a beast with low natural intelligence. Because all souls that have not been engraved will eventually be absorbed by him. And the Star Cross Knights that Bai Ye wants to form must at least have admiral potential to be eligible. Kill it. Found unable to absorb these souls, Bai Ye gave a beast an order that belonged to the god. The gold-toothed slave trader yelled in horror, ran and crawled into the forest. This was naturally Bai Ye's intention. The purpose is to see if this group of people has no other companions. And, how did these people sneak onto this island? You guys come up too. Bai Ye asked the orangutan named Xiao He to come over and look at Hancock and his group. Brother. X2. Sonia and Marigold had little stars in their eyes. After going through this incident, both of them recognized Bai Ye as the brother, both physically and mentally. The 2 cubs sat on Xiao He's shoulders, and saw that the elder sister did not move for a long time. Sister. Several question marks emerged from the heads of Sana Sonia and Marigold. When Hancock saw the position below, he was left on Xiao He's head, which was where Bai Ye usually stayed. Hancock inexplicably thought of the zero-distance contact just now, and blushed on his little face. But looking at the doubts of the 2 innocent sisters, Hancock nodded without realizing it. I know. With that, Hancock rolled over. Not long. The edge of a deserted island. A 6 or 7 meter orangutan beast rushed out of the forest. I saw another large beast standing on the edge of the beach. On the side, it was a medium-sized ship that left several corpses of slave traders behind. Standing on the coast, you can clearly see the cages on the deck of the ship, and there are shivering naked women inside. What happened is self-evident. Sure enough, is it a slave ship? Bai Ye was thoughtful, a coldness flashed under his dim red eyes. The rubbish, whether it was before crossing, or considered by the celestial dragons on Mariejois as a calamity was born in this world. Bai Ye never had a good impression of slave traders. All damned with the celestial dragons who live in the holy land of Mariejois. Those hateful villains. Seeing this scene, Sana Sonia and Marigold, who were innocent in their hearts, were also full of anger on their faces. Hancock, who was more sensible, had a look of fear on his face. Although she knows that there are many bad people in the world outside Jew Snake Island. But without Bai Ye, she and her 2 younger sisters were captured by this gang of slave traders. Hancock couldn't imagine what happened next to her and her 2 younger sisters. It's okay, just rest easy. Bai Ye saw what Hancock was thinking, and pinched his little face. Although Hancock has good strength at the age of 11. But right now is not the future pirate empress after all, the current Hancock is still a girl who has not really experienced the darkness of the outside world. It is not surprising that Bai Ye will show such a reaction. And at this time, Bai Ye took out a phone bug to contact 9 Snake Island, and informed the people living on 9 Snake Island what happened here. It can be regarded as a place for those innocent women. Just after doing this, sudden, Bai Ye found the dead body of a fat slave trader with a mouth full of gold teeth holding a black box tightly. It seems that there are treasures more important than those slaves that cannot be thrown away. Bai Ye had a guess for a moment, and jumped off the head of the beast. Could it be devil fruit? Take the locked black chest stained with bloodline in your hand. Bai Ye opened it. Sure enough, there was a spiral pattern fruit lying quietly inside. Such a unique feature. It is in the world of pirates under your feet that one piece can be sold for 100 million Baileys at the Sabayati Bottom Islands auction. Devil fruit known as the secret treasure of the sea. 006. A rotten thing that should be eradicated. ... There is only one devil fruit in the box. Bai Ye hasn't seen the devil fruit illustrated book, so he can't be sure about the ability of this devil fruit. Bai Ye chose to put it away by himself. Although the relationship between him and 9 Snake Island is special. But this trophy belongs to Bai Ye himself, and Bai Ye has no idea of giving it to Jew Snake Island. At this time, Hancock and his 2 sisters had come near the slave ship. Looking at the cruel scene above the deck like a hell on earth up close. For the first time in their lives, the Hancock sisters felt the brutal darkness outside Hydra. Bruises all over the body, naked, numb, and dead bodies in the iron cage that did not leave the smell of the sea behind. Every second of staying here is enough to strongly stimulate the heart of any normal person. Some women even had no joy in being rescued, and instead begged the Hancock sisters to kill her. Because all the women captured on this slave ship. In order to cut off their thoughts and hopes of escaping, those hateful slave traders and scum once killed everyone's family members in front of them. What they want is that even if they are alive, they can only live as if they were dead, and gradually become numb slaves at their beck and call in despair. Damn it, those guys are too bad. There was anger on Hancock's face. Now think of those slave traders who died just now. Now Hancock felt really cheap for those damn slavers. It will be her turn to protect 9 Snake Island later. Hancock clenched her little hand, and she swore inwardly. She will never allow this kind of thing to happen again in front of her eyes. She must become stronger than she is now. Use your own strength to protect everyone and her 2 younger sisters. With this thought, Hancock was about to let the poor women out first, but put a hand on her shoulder first. Wait, I almost missed one. Hancock turned his head and found that it was Bai Ye. Missed one. Hancock didn't know where. Bai Ye's eyes were staring at the cages where the slaves were held on the upper deck of the slave catcher. Just found a devil fruit. Bai Ye didn't pay much attention to the poor women who were captured as slaves on the slave ship. Although those women have nothing to do with Bai Ye. But Bai Ye didn't want any slave trader's eyeliner to go to 9 Snakes Island. Stepping towards the slave ship, Bai Ye walked towards the innermost slave cage on the deck. Inside was a woman with disheveled hair and the same disheveled clothes. Are you planning to keep pretending? Or are you going to come out by yourself? Bai Ye squatted down. Red pupils seemed to be looking at the woman inside. I saw that the expression of the woman who was held in solitary confinement changed first. She was actually identified by a brat. The woman wanted to defend herself, to see if she could fool the brat. All her subordinates died at the mouth of those beasts, but she was not confident that she could fight against them. After thinking about her words, she raised her head. You can look into Bai Ye's eyes. He suddenly discovered that it was a pair of distinctive red pupils. The woman seemed to have been greatly frightened and backed away in fright. Red pupils. How is it possible? Those eyes. Red eyes. Bai Ye calmly asked. Any questions? Almost at the moment Bai Ye asked. The woman looked at Bai Ye's age and appearance in front of her, as well as those red eyes that vaguely revealed her indifference to life. The woman suddenly remembered some memories. Unbelievable, said. Are you still alive? No, are the things discussed by those big shots true? Born to symbolize the birth of disaster, is everything true? The woman gradually became incoherent. Bai Ye originally wanted to kill the opponent directly. I didn't expect to hear something about myself. After all, looking at the world of pirates, there are almost no humans with red pupils in the sky. Looking at the slave trader woman who couldn't ask any news at all. Bai Ye already has plans. Some things don't need to be spoken to by the other party at all. As long as he is alive, he has a way to know everything. The power of Yohbach is for the soul. Every time you recycle your soul, you will not only gain strength. It will also simultaneously obtain the other party's memory, practice experience, and life experience. Therefore, in the original book, Friend's Habach needs to enter a deep sleep to sort out every time he recovers a large number of souls. After all, absorbing too much power and memory can easily affect the main body. But right now Bai Ye has no such concerns. Not long. As the slave trader woman turned into a corpse and fell to the ground, a lot of memories came to Bai Ye's mind. It is different from the souls that absorbed those beasts before. This is the first time Bai Ye absorbs the soul of a human being. A lot of memory is very complicated. There are dark and cruel methods from birth, to growth experience, to how to become a slave trader for profit. Soon, Bai Ye found the part that belonged to his needs in the depths. But as Bai Ye read the memories, the coldness hidden under Bai Ye's eyes gradually deepened. Turn out to be, women know of Bai Ye's existence. Because of the slave trade with the celestial dragons. Although the woman accidentally learned about celestial dragons' preferences for slaves from the next door to the box. But it also let Bai Ye know since he was dropped from Red Line that day. His existence became a private joke among the celestial dragons. The delusion of impure blood survives. In the eyes of the celestial dragons of Mariejois, it is a great shame. Whether it is Bai Ye, or the mother who gave birth to Bai Ye in this world, in the eyes of Mariejois' celestial dragons, they are not worthy of being called human beings, they are just low-blooded low-class pariahs. So even if Bai Ye was born with a normal body that day, and there is no excuse for disaster, they will try to kill Bai Ye and that day's mother in the future. After reading this part of memory, the coldness deep in Bai Ye's red pupils is already piercing. Just wait, it won't be long before I come to you and completely overthrow everything. Smash unnecessary memories, perceive the ship that Jew Snake Island has dispatched. Bai Ye raised his head and looked in one direction of the sea with his dull red eyes. Over there, it is claimed to hold the pinnacle of world power. It is also the most noble place that only celestial dragons can live in the eyes of the world. Sanctuary Mariejois, but in the eyes of Bai Ye, who was born as a calamity in the eyes of celestial dragons. Whether it's the world government or those ugly celestial dragons. But they are all rotten things that should be wiped out. 007. 3 years, an existence destined to change the future world. See Circle Calendar. 1505. Spring goes and winter comes. Time flies. This day, the methods of the world government are too cruel. In Chichilut Kingdom, pirates kidnapped soldiers as hostages to force the king to surrender the throne. Instead of sending a marine to rescue them, a 13-year-old boy was sent out to kill all 500 hostages. Such cruel methods are simply outrageous. Who says it's not? The world government refuses to admit its own incompetence, and it has nothing to do with the pirates, so it chooses to settle the hostages. In contrast, fortunately, the base camps of many pirates near the town where we live have suddenly disappeared in the past few years. You said, is it because Marine has intensified its efforts to clean up pirates in order to restore the reputation of the world government? Thinking too much. In the tavern, a drunk civilian uncle raised his hand in disgust loudly. That's obviously a punishment from the heavens for those pirates. Marine doesn't have time to care about the life and death of ordinary civilians like us. I've heard it from others. Someone saw with their own eyes that a boy with black hair and red eyes walked in alone the day before the wolf pirates' resident disappeared. Wolf pirates? Is that the demon who threatened to destroy 3 towns? Hiss. Someone gasped and asked, what about the back? The drunk civilian uncle stretched out a finger and said. Then the next day, all the vicious pirates in the wolf pirate group disappeared, and Marine, who had no clue, even came to our local area to ask, you don't know, those Marines look like headless chickens. How ridiculous, ha ha ha. Uncle, you are really drunk. You mean that the wolf pirates were destroyed by a black-haired and red-eyed boy alone? Ha ha ha, I'm really drunk. The wolf pirates are not those hostages who are already powerless, not to mention that the captain of the pirates has a reward of 76 million Baileys. It must be that the pirates left, or they were wiped out by more powerful pirates. That's right, ha ha ha, listen to everyone laughing. Seeing that the crowd did not want to believe it, the drunk civilian uncle shook his head and couldn't help muttering. You guys, no one believes you when you tell the truth. I heard from some pirates recently that that guy has become a legend that makes pirates tremble near this sea area. He is regarded as a legend. There is a great terror that cannot be matched by disaster. After finishing speaking, the drunk civilian uncle took another sip of wine. Forget it, if you guys who are blessed and don't know how to be blessed, if you haven't seen it with your own eyes, you probably won't believe it, and those ignorant Marines are really stupid. The other side. Amazon Lily. Brother, it's really abhorrent that the world government would do such evil deeds. But having said that, who is more powerful than the boy who killed the hostages or my brother? Does it need to be said? My lord, it must be my brother. That's right, brother must be the most powerful person in the world. The beautiful face has already shown the amazing charm that can make people fall at a glance. Two energetic girls in different costumes looked away from the newspaper. Not far away, stood a young man in a black windbreaker. The boy exudes a unique temperament, and his appearance is no less stunning than that of a girl. Especially the pair of deep red pupils under the black hair. It seems to contain amazing magic power, just one glance, it is unforgettable in this life. And this boy, it is over time. Bai Ye is now 13 years old. The identities of the three girls are naturally self-evident. Boa Hancock, Boya Sana Sonia, Boya Marigold, the famous, three sisters, on 9 Snake Island. After 3 years passed, I saw that Hancock, who has entered the puberty period, has begun to show the charm of the world's #1 beauty in the future. The development of the whole body should be big or small, any more or less will destroy the proper aesthetic feeling. It is no longer the small and flat body that Bai Ye thought was nothing. And the proportions are perfect enough to be the envy of any woman on the sea. By contrast, the other two little ones were not far behind. Although not as stunning as Hancock, it is also a rare beauty embryo in the sea. In general, there are no two people who were forced to eat the fruit of the snake in the original book. Without the influence of devil fruit, follow the current development progress. It will definitely not become what it was in the future. And at this time, after the slave trader incident 3 years ago, the people on 9 Snake Island began to realize that people's lack of knowledge of the outside world. In order to prevent this from happening again next time, Snake Island is no longer completely isolated from the world like it used to be. Such is the newspaper in the hands of the Hancock sisters. If it was in the past, the three of them would definitely not be able to touch the darkness of the outside world at this age. This is enough to show that Hydra is determined to make changes. Worth to talk about. At the same time that 9 Snake Island changed, Bai Ye's strength has undergone a new qualitative change in the past 3 years. As early as a year ago, the beast-filled island under his feet could no longer satisfy the soul Bai Ye needed. With the continuous absorption of souls, the progress of the template is accelerated. Bai Ye needs a large number of souls to improve his Quincy spirit power. The thing about Bai Ye getting out of here, naturally, Hancock et al. Do not know. Although the current empress of 9 Snake Island, Shaki, found out, she tried to hinder her on the way. After all, with Bai Ye's powerful talent revealed, in her opinion, leaving alone at Bai Ye's age is still a bit too risky. There is no lack of talented monsters in the sea, but what is lacking is the time that monsters need to grow. But Shaki's choice. On a dark night a year ago, Bai Ye was alone on the wooden boat that Hancock and others sneaked over, and after no one noticed the movement in the sea, he asked the two to fight. Shaki was completely relieved, because it was this fight. Shaki realized that this boy was born with black hair and red pupils. His talent, which is envied by the world, can no longer be described with the word horror. Even, maybe this boy with black hair and red eyes was born in this world. Born to be an existence destined to change the future and even the entire era. After all, Bai Ye, who was 12 years old at that time, was tied with her. And Shaki clearly sensed that the black-haired and red-eyed boy in front of him might not have shown his true strength. One can imagine. 12 years old, he has such terrifying talent and strength. Shaki is definitely a lifetime. Even Roger, who used to be called One Piece, or the pirate who has the title of Emperor of the Sea, in the world today. No one is qualified to stand shoulder to shoulder with him. Even, that day Shaki faintly had more palpitations. Such a boy who was born to be envied by the world. Looking at the past, the future, and the entire sea, is there really anyone who can match it? That answer. Shaki didn't say it though. But it was clear almost at the moment of thinking. It's just unbelievable that she doesn't want to admit it. 008. With the help of Bai Ye, Toon, the next empress of 9 Snake Island. Advertise here. Back to the present time. Open black lens bracket name. Bai Ye close black lens bracket. Template. Yohbach. Current unlocking progress. 27.8. Abilities. Spiritual parts gathering, flying legs, moving blood equipment, static blood equipment. Inherent abilities. Soul gift contact healing, soul recovery, soul gift holy character engraving, soul recovery sanctification, destruction cross knife. Special ability. Shadow domain. Inherent sacred text. Omniscient and omnipotent. How could Shaki think of the boy in her eyes who was destined to change the future and even the whole era? At the same time that she considered her talent to be envied by the world. In the eyes of Mariejois celestial dragons, he is also born to bear disaster. At this time, it should be almost there. Bai Ye stood on the shore, feeling his current strength. Looking at the sea horizon in the distance, a coldness flashed under a pair of deep red pupils. Although he is currently far from reaching the heyday of Yohbach who appeared in the Shinigami Millennium Blood War chapter. But I believe it won't take long. And before that, it's time for him to think about something else. Star-Crossed Knights. Brother, what are you looking at? Sonia leaned over with a look of curiosity on her face. It was Hancock's younger sister with green hair. Because Bai Ye never confided to the second person living on Nine Snake Island about his origin and what he was going to do, including Shaki. So they naturally didn't know Bai Ye's real plan at all. Nothing, just thinking about what to eat today. Rubbing the top of Sonia's head, Bai Ye looked away from the direction of Red Line, with a hint of doting in his eyes. Although Bai Ye is a time traveler, the moment of birth was regarded as a disaster, and ruthlessly left Red Line as an orphan. But after several years of getting along, Bai Ye has felt the warmth of a family belonging to this world for a long time here. So while Sonia and Marigold recognized his brother, Bai Ye also sincerely regards these two cubs as cute little sisters. In front of them, Bai Ye will naturally put away the coldness hidden in the deepest part of his heart. What to eat? Brother, do you want to do it yourself? Great. The other, little, no, it should be Marigold, who has become an energetic girl, also showed excitement on his face when he heard this. My sis, I can eat the food made by my brother again, my sis must be looking forward to it too. Marigold looked expectantly at Hancock. Hancock, who was standing there, heard the words, seeing that Bai Ye would dodge her when she touched her sister's head, and defended. Who would expect that? If you want to eat, don't drag me. After finishing speaking, Marigold and Sonia looked at each other, showing the tacit smile that only sisters have. They know my sister too well. Although my elder sister is reluctant every time. But compared to the ones made by my brother, I can't eat delicious food on Nine Snake Island. My elder sister definitely eats the most every time. I'm afraid my elder sister didn't realize how tangled her face was every time, right? Brother, let's go help. And Sonia and Marigold are passionate about food and offer to help. Then the two went to the forest on the island to pick up some wood. As the souls of the beasts on the entire island have been absorbed by Bai Ye, the two of them still have the mark left by Bai Ye on their bodies, so there is no need to worry about any danger. That left Hancock and Bai Ye alone on the coast. Hey, you guys. Hancock looked at the two younger sisters who couldn't cry. Looking at it again, she and Bai Ye are left alone. Immediately, an awkward and strange atmosphere emerged in Hancock's heart. It is also strange to say. She didn't have that strange feeling before. But since the incident 3 years ago, Hancock felt that every time he was quiet on Hydra Island, his heart was in chaos. From time to time, I thought of what happened that day in Bai Ye's face, including when he was sleeping. Usually okay. Because she practiced harder than before, she could still suppress this thought. But every time I bring two younger sisters who want to see my brother to this island, that feeling seems to be lingering in my heart and popping up again. And every time it will become more intense than the last time. This made her dare not sneak from Nine Snake Island to this island alone recently. Let's initiate the challenge of, I must make this hateful guy who is 1 year younger than me call my sister. Although there is no way to deny it. Hancock has worked harder than before and awakened the legendary conquerors, hockey. But right now Hancock's delusion to beat Bai Ye called his sister's record is 0.57. The record can be described as horrible. Although she is getting stronger every time, now one person can easily defeat several female warriors who are proficient in hockey on Hydra Island. But every time I face Bai Ye who is obviously a year younger than me, she has the idea that this hateful brother is not human at all. Too strong. With the female warriors she usually assisted her in cultivation on Nine Snake Island, it was like a monster of a different level at all. Nature. Hancock didn't know it at the moment. A year ago, Bai Ye did not put in all his strength to draw with Shaki, the current empress of Nine Snake Island, and successfully obtained the permission to go out at will. Otherwise, Hancock's current little heart will definitely be shocked by an unprecedented shock. The strength of this brother in front of him may still be higher than the current empress of Nine Snake Island. And Hancock probably didn't know that Shaki was watching his sneaking out. Nothing was stopped. On the one hand, knowing Bai Ye's strength does not need to worry about the safety of their sisters. On the other hand, Shaki also wants to use Bai Ye's hand to tune Hancock, the next empress of Nine Snake Island, to become stronger. Because from the birth of Bai Ye, the current empress Shaki has already begun to have a premonition that the future world will never be peaceful. Therefore, the next guardian of Nine Snake Island must be even stronger. 009. Destroy Sea Kings, Bai Ye. Mature ingredients need to know how to be quiet. ... Not long. Brother. We're back. Sonia and Marigold ran back from the forest with a pile of logs. He took the initiative to start a fire with a busy face. It can be seen that the two are very much looking forward to the food that Bai Ye, the brother, will make. Good job. You've worked hard. He reached out and rubbed the heads of the two expecting girls. Since they worked so hard, Bai Ye would naturally not let them down. Although Bai Ye's craftsmanship was average before time travel, he was not an all-knowing and all-round master. But usually living alone for a long time, coupled with the memory of the previous life, culinary skills will naturally rise as well. Although it may not be as good as those chefs who spend their whole lives studying cooking in this sea. But it is placed on Nine Snake Island, which is basically isolated from the outside world. Definitely enough to satisfy the Hancock sisters. Now it's time to prepare things. Bai Ye looked towards the sea. The rest is the ingredients. After finishing speaking, Bai Ye looked at Hancock not far away who was struggling in his heart, and joked. Are you sure you don't want to wait? Ah, what? Hancock came back to his senses when he saw Bai Ye who was looking at her. Hancock's already strange thoughts became even more chaotic for a while. Yes, I don't want it. No, I don't like it at all. After speaking, Hancock heard the gurgling protest from his lower abdomen, and immediately regretted it again. But soon, Hancock found the corner of Bai Ye's mouth slightly raised. Hancock immediately realized that it was the nasty brother in front of him who was making fun of him. Pursing his lips, Hancock hugged his arms as white as lotus roots, and whispered. Of course, if you have to give it to the concubine later, it's not, no. Bai Ye, looking at the arrogant future empress in front of her. Bai Ye glanced at Sonia and Marigold who were already working very hard to hold back their smiles. Bai Ye rubbed his forehead. Have you started calling yourself a concubine? But Hancock's body is much more honest than that arrogant mouth. Bai Ye smiled. He came to the sea. Sana, Sonia and Marigold suddenly became very excited. It's about to appear. My brother has a magical ability. The two young girls watched with longing. The air near Bai Ye vibrated faintly, and some blue light spots emerged. Subsequently, I saw that it was a black knife with a white blade, a black back and handle, and a black knife on the gauntlet like an eagle soaring into the sky. It began to condense in Bai Ye's right hand and appeared. This is Yohbach as the ancestor of the Quincy Master. It is different from the bow that ordinary destroyers use spiritual power to construct weapons. It's a knife's destruction cross knife. So strong. Hancock, who was proudly crossing his arms, noticed this scene. A look of astonishment appeared on the face of the pretty and delicate girl. Although she didn't know how Bai Ye constructed that weapon out of thin air. But the moment that weapon was held in Bai Ye's hand, Hancock could vaguely feel an astonishing aura emanating from Bai Ye. Although it only passed away in a flash, that feeling has never been felt on Nine Snake Island. Is that why my mother-in-law taught me about the aura of swordsmen from the outside world? Hancock secretly guessed. And at this time, Bai Ye swung the extermination cross knife built with spiritual power in his hand. Next moment, this is what Sana, Sonia and Marigold expected. An invisible slash wave tore through the air, as if to split the sea in two. In fact, though far from being a true dichotomy. But the sea was in front of this random slash. But there actually appeared a cut mark extending to hundreds of meters. Under this impact, this is a myriad of water splashes. In addition, all kinds of fish that usually stay under the sea are constantly swept out by this force. For a while, it was like a heavy rain that only fish fell. The plump and fresh big fish landed uncontrollably and perfectly on the shore at Bai Ye's feet. Fish. A lot of fish. Great, my brother is going to make grilled fish. Sana, Sonia and Marigold were very excited, and they couldn't wait to go forward and take those fat big fish away. Seeing this scene, Hancock was surprised at what kind of cultivation this monster brother Bai Ye was. But I also can't laugh or cry because the two cute sisters are about to become foodies. Of course, she doesn't count herself. Well, after all, every time it happens that there is a surplus that belongs to her. All of these are too many mistakes made by the hateful brother every time. Pursing his lips, Hancock secretly looked forward to the smell of grilled fish. But at this moment, when Sonia and Marigold stepped forward to pick up the big fat fish on the ground, Bai Ye suddenly spoke. Wait first. Question marks popped up on Sonia and Marigold's heads, and they looked at Bai Ye. There was also a trace of doubt on Hancock's pretty face. And at this time, Bai Ye's eyes looked at the cut marks that had not been filled by the surge of seawater, and explained. The strength seems to be a bit too much just now. Too big, brother. Bai Ye nodded. Good, but it seems that there are new ingredients coming to your door today. New ingredients. The two girls were stunned for a moment, and anticipation suddenly appeared in their eyes. Hancock was a little confused. Too much power. Could it be that he has not mastered swordsmanship yet? Really, Hancock felt a little relief in his heart. No matter how powerful the monster is, it has the most powerful talent. There is no perfect person in this world. What's more, she had never seen Bai Ye practice swordsmanship on this island. Otherwise, there must be some traces of swordsmanship practice left in some places. Think here. Hancock suddenly felt that there was hope for him to defeat this brother who was 1 year younger than him, and let him call himself a sister. But then again, Hancock rubbed his protesting belly. What are the new ingredients? Besides fish, is there anything else in this sea? Boom. Sudden. There was a violent vibration of the water surface, which seemed to explode in the ear, and countless water splashes were set off. When Hancock heard this movement, he couldn't help but look towards the blue sea for the first time. In the next second, when you see clearly the source of the movement, Hancock's expression changed involuntarily. I saw that it was a mysterious giant creature covered with pitch-black scales, with a head like a hippopotamus, at least over 100 meters by visual inspection. Sea kings. See this creature for the first time. Hancock immediately realized what the mysterious creature that was enough to block the sun was. Sea kings. One of the most terrifying creatures to mess with in this calm belt. Marines' warships were unable to enter the territory of Nine Snake Island, and a large part of the credit was attributed to these ferocious sea kings. No, not good. Become aware of the identity of the creature in front of you. Hancock sees the rare angry sea kings preparing to attack Bai Ye and his two sisters on the coast. Hancock couldn't care less. She once vowed in her heart to protect her sister. I won't let what happened last time repeat itself a second time. Whether it's slave traders, marines, pirates from outside, or even sea kings. She will not allow it. Armament hockey floated in the hand. Hancock was ready to shoot. However, at this time, a familiar calm voice sounded. It's too noisy. As a mature ingredient, you need to know how to be quiet. The voice fell. Hancock discovered that it was Bai Ye who spoke at the same time. This is Bai Ye wielding the extinct cross knife again. The action remains unpretentious. It can be next second. This is an unforgettable scene in the heart of the Hancock girl at this time. I saw the slash that Bai Ye swung again. The Sea Kings, which was more than 100 meters in size and enough to block the sun, suddenly froze in midair strangely. Thereafter, boom, sound. The powerful Sea Kings are so easily captured by the outside world, enough to become nightmares for countless sea merchants, pirates, and marines. Split into two. Blood stained a large area of sea water. And bathed in the sunlight that came through again from the separated Sea Kings' corpses. Hancock's beautiful eyes widened, and she clearly saw another shocking scene. That was the remaining force of the attack that easily killed Sea Kings and flew thousands of meters away. Finally cut to the clouds in the sky. A deep slashing gully was left in the entire cloud layer. 010. Leaving the range of 9 Snake Island, promise. Advertise here. Night fell. The sky is full of stars. The breeze blowing from the sea carried a faint smell of salt and undissipated blood. But that doesn't bother you in front of a campfire on the beach. The two girls were feasting, and from time to time they asked the black-haired and red-eyed boy to ask for extra meals. Wow, Sea King's meat is so delicious. Marigold, slow down, don't worry, what if you choke? Sonia, you still have time to talk about me. If you are too late, you will eat the portion that my brother gave me. Unconvinced, Marigold pointed to Sonia's oily hands. Sonia stuck out her tongue, and hurriedly continued to bow her head as her foodie. It seems that if you are afraid that the tip of your tongue will leave the delicious food for a second, you will miss a lot of joy in life. Okay, don't worry, that big guy has a lot of meat on his body as food, so there's no need to fight. Kneading the heads of the two girls with both hands, Bai Ye took a bite and tasted it with his eyes closed. It tastes really good. It may be that Sea Kings usually live in deep sea layers with strong water pressure. Both the internal meat quality, taste and juice are very full. In addition, the way of grilling adds a unique charcoal aroma of fruit wood, without affecting the original taste of the ingredients. The perfect combination of the two makes the taste even better. Seeing Sonia and Marigold completely disregarding the girl's eating appearance, you can see how delicious it is. But at this time, compared to Sonia and Marigold's two sisters, Sonia and Marigold, enjoying the food to the fullest. Hancock, who was allocated the excess share, lost his usual love for delicious food. A pair of beautiful eyes stared at the bonfire in a daze, and then sneaked a glance at Bai Ye from time to time, obviously preoccupied. Or in other words, Hancock, who was bred as the next queen of Hydra. What she saw and heard was different from that of her two younger sisters. As the next empress of 9 Snake Island, Hancock has learned a lot from her very knowledgeable mother-in-law. Therefore, compared with the two younger sisters, Sonia and Marigold, who are immersed in the excitement of brother, who can easily kill Sea Kings. Hancock thought back to seeing the sunlight through the split body. Hancock subconsciously looked at Bai Ye. The bottom of her heart is very sure. That is at least the strength of a swordsman. No. Hancock thought of the knowledge taught by his mother-in-law. I'm afraid that the swordsmanship strength represented by that blow may not even be able to do it by a swordsman. In other words, great swordsman. One of the most likely answers is already on the horizon. That is to say, not far away, Bai Ye, who is obviously 1 year younger than her, is only 13 years old. It has easily reached the goal pursued by countless swordsmen on the outside world. What kind of monster talent and body is needed to do this? And in this way, Hancock took a bite of a delicious Sea King's roast. Suddenly feel dull. When will she be able to defeat Bai Ye and become a real sister in this small group of 4? Time flies by for a good meal. The night deepened. On a boat by the sea. the two of them are full, and they just fell asleep like this defenselessly. Hancock looked at the two sleeping younger sisters on the wooden boat, and he couldn't hide his concern while pretending to be angry. Although it wasn't the first time she slipped out with her two younger sisters. There is also the option to sleep here. But that would not be able to keep up with the daytime training sessions on 9 Snake Island. So every afternoon when I sneak out from 9 Snake Island, Hancock would take the two younger sisters home at night at most. Don't worry, you're still here. Bai Ye came over and looked at the figures of the two sleeping girls on the boat. While speaking, Bai Ye stretched out his hand to pinch Hancock's face habitually. Hancock dodged like a frightened bunny. Jumping into the wooden boat and finding it safe, the corners of Hancock's mouth twitched slightly. I want to pinch my concubine's face again, so I will let you succeed. All right. Bai Ye rubbed his forehead. Then Bai Ye thought about what he had been thinking about during the day. In front of the Hancock sisters and others, his face showed a little seriousness, and said, "By the way, you go back this time and tell Shaki something for me." Report. Hancock froze for a moment, not knowing what to do. That's right. Bai Ye nodded. Thinking of what he planned, he continued to smile and said, "After being taken care of by you for so long, I can't leave without saying goodbye, right? Farewell without telling. This is a very normal sentence. May fall in Hancock's ear now. When you react, realize the meaning behind this sentence." Her whole body suddenly froze on the boat. After a long time, Hancock glanced at the two sleeping sisters before raising his head to break the silence and asking, You mean you plan to leave here? Bai Ye is leaving. It's something Hancock never thought about. Or rather, grow over time. Hancock, who is used to the current life, faced Bai Ye's sudden plan to leave the scope of Jew Snake Island. When hearing this news, Hancock's heart was shocked. Then I thought of the picture of Bai Ye disappearing. What followed was something deep inside that seemed like a very important part was missing. For a while, 14-year-old Hancock panicked. Don't worry, it's not a permanent separation. Bai Ye saw Hancock's thoughts, smiled and said comfortingly. It's just that I still have some things to deal with in the outside world, let alone. Bai Ye's eyes shifted from Hancock to Santa Sonia and Marigold. Otherwise, I would be reluctant to leave your lovely sisters. The voice fell. Hancock, who was a little flustered, calmed down unexpectedly, and immediately retorted. It's not the concubine. Sooner or later, the concubine will be the older sister, and you will be the younger brother. Okay, call me brother. Bai Ye nodded helplessly. This familiar scene is exactly the same as it was 3 years ago. It's just that the boy at that time was already a teenager. 11-year-old Hancock has also become a 14-year-old girl who shows the charm of the world's most beautiful woman in the future. After this episode, the atmosphere eased a lot. After calming down, Hancock showed seriousness on his delicate face and said, It will definitely come back, right? Certainly. Bai Ye nodded affirmatively. Good. There was another moment of silence. Hancock seemed to have made a huge choice before reluctantly nodding slightly. In this scene, it's like Hancock is forcing himself to accept that what's happening in front of him is reality. Seeing this, Bai Ye suddenly said, Since we are leaving, as a younger sister, should I reward my brother before saying goodbye? For example. Bai Ye held out his hand. On board, Hancock hesitated for a moment, but this time he didn't dodge. Instead, he took the initiative to slightly approach the face that would amaze any man in the future. Seeing this, Bai Ye thought that it would be a few years since he missed this opportunity. But just when Bai Ye wanted to pinch Hancock's face, Hancock suddenly took the initiative to take a step closer. Then he lightly pecked Bai Ye's cheek, and quickly returned to the boat. Bai Ye was dumbfounded, looking at the boat. Seeing that Hancock's face was red like a tempting apple, one couldn't help but take a bite. Hancock didn't give Bai Ye a chance to speak. Instead, pinching his waist with his hands, he kept the boat carrying the two sisters away from the coast, and shouted. You were the one who bullied me before, but this time it's finally my turn to bully you. Also, don't forget the agreement. Next time, I will definitely defeat you and let you obediently call me sister. Bai Ye listened to the sound of fading away. Although the night is very dark, naturally, he could also clearly see Hancock's girlish blushing face. Bai Ye reached out and touched the place that was attacked just now, feeling the breath and faint fragrance left by the girl on it. The corners of his mouth are slightly raised. As a person who has lived 2 lifetimes, how could Bai Ye not understand the strange changes in Hancock who has grown into a girl in the past 2 years? A promise. That's fine, although, it's impossible to be an older sister. As well as, Hancock probably didn't know yet. Bai Ye's last move was not simply to pinch his face. Although the process is somewhat different. But Hancock passed the contact just now. A gift that belongs to Bai Ye has already been left behind. Just considering Hancock's age, that gift doesn't manifest right away. But it will grow with age and body. Gradually mastered by Hancock. After all, a holy text is just given. 3 years ago, even if he had enough souls, it would consume nearly 2/3 of the Quincy's power in Bai Ye's body at that time. Right now, Bai Ye can look forward to what holy words Hancock will awaken according to his own physique after gaining the power of the Quincy Master. And finished dealing with things here. Bai Ye's red pupils once again looked at the sea that looked like day under the night. This moment, his eyes shed the softness just now, but turned into a bottomless coldness. It was time for him to truly set foot on this sea. 011. Through the world, Bai Ye who, stolen, the heart of the next 9 Snake Island Empress. Night. Thank you for your hard work. Watch as Hancock and 2 sisters leave. Behind Bai Ye, these are the last 2 beasts on the island under their feet. Under the starlight of the stars. It was the orangutan beast that was the overlord of the beasts on the island back then, and another beast in the shape of a giant tiger. And at the moment when Bai Ye's voice fell, the 2 ferocious beasts seemed to have a tacit understanding, respectful like a pair of loyal servants kneeling in front of Bai Ye, as if worshipping their emperor. Although beasts are not born with high intelligence. But they understand that it is time to give everything to God. Now the beast souls on the entire island have been absorbed by Bai Ye in order to replenish himself. These 2 are the last beasts left, and the ones whose souls were not recovered by Bai Ye at first. Although the 2 beasts in front of him helped Bai Ye a lot in the past. But because all life that has been touched by Yohbach's soul gift will die soon, and the soul will eventually return to Yohbach. It is already a miracle that these 2 ferocious beasts can persist until now. But for what was about to happen, the 2 beasts didn't have any resistance, everything was so normal and natural. Perhaps in the eyes of a beast of low intelligence. It is already a great honor for them to have the opportunity to witness their God, with their own eyes, who will eventually step outside in the name of Emperor of the Invisible Empire. Have to say, although the beasts on the island under their feet are far less intelligent than humans. But in Bai Ye's eyes, it is thousands or 10,000 times stronger than the celestial dragons who live in Mariejois and claim to be their creators. And Bai Ye will also use this power. Turn the whole world upside down. Accompanied by the breath of the 2 ferocious beasts gradually dissipating. Bai Ye could clearly feel that the power of the Quincy that was consumed just now began to recover at a speed visible to the naked eye. Not only that, this moment, the last bit of gloom in those deep red pupils also began to disappear quietly. And at the moment when the eyesight was completely restored, Bai Ye felt that the whole world in front of him was completely lit up like real day. The crashing sea, the breeze blowing over the body. Every wisp of breath contained in the air fluctuates. Everything in the world is suddenly displayed in Bai Ye's red pupils without reservation. Faced with this change, Bai Ye feels that vision is like other senses with special abilities. Bai Ye was thoughtful, and looked at the 2 beasts who remained respectful until death. I didn't expect that there would be a gift for me before I left here. If Bai Ye remembers correctly, the world in his eyes at this moment. This should be similar to the transparent world in Ghost Slayer. It is a symbol of one's own perception reaching the highest realm. And this ability can see through the body of the creature, and by seeing through the body of the creature to find the weakness, so as to achieve the fastest and most efficient killing of the enemy. In a sense, seeing the world is a powerful ability that is not lost to any top-level knowledgeable color. Especially for Bai Ye who owns Yohbach's destroying cross sword, and whose swordsmanship can reach the level of a great swordsman. At the same time, 9 Snake Island. This sea is destined to set off an unprecedented storm. A short old lady stood on the high place of 9 Snakes Island, feeling the unusual breath tonight and sighed secretly. After finishing speaking, Grandma Z, who was in charge of teaching Hancock knowledge, looked in the direction of the island in the distance, and she hummed softly again. Don't die easily, the bastard who stole the heart of the next Empress of 9 Snake Island. As the oldest and most knowledgeable on 9 Snake Island, she is also the former Empress. The mother-in-law can be said to look at the entire 9 Snake Island. She is the one who has really been in touch with Hancock the longest, and she is also the one who has watched Hancock grow up from a young age and become the girl she is today. Therefore, since Hancock came back 3 years ago, Hancock's usual changes cannot escape her eyes. 012. The boy who was regarded as a world disaster by the pirates of the Grand Line. Advertise here. See Circle Calendar. 1506. Summer. The boy who was hailed as the world disaster by the pirates on the Grand Line. Black-haired and red-eyed, he's obviously a young boy, but rumored to have powerful pirates who dare not look directly into his deep, cold eyes. And wherever they go, only death and blood trails are left behind. Even a kingdom was destroyed by it. Is such a rumor really credible? I also said that if you didn't see it with your own eyes, no one would believe it. Isn't this certain? Who would believe such exaggerated rumors? What did you say that not long ago, Marine sent 3 large warships to capture them, but they all ended up being wiped out? The guys in Marine are also they refuse to admit that they are incompetent, and they spread such useless information. With such an exaggeration, it would be better to say that a new sea, emperor, has been born in this sea. Yeah, ha ha ha, on a hot summer day, people in various island towns on the Grand Line spend their leisure time. My favorite thing to do is to discuss the various 8 trigrams circulating in the sea. For example, a certain pirate group was destroyed, or another major event occurred in Marine. But rumors have surfaced recently on the Grand Line. It really makes people living on the Grand Line feel incredible. Because the most controversial rumor on Grand Line recently is about a boy with black hair and red eyes. Many new pirates are born in this sea every year. This is nothing strange, but a teenager who suddenly appeared on the Grand Line. However, many pirates on the Grand Line regard it as a world disaster. Even the rumors made any powerful pirates dare not look directly at those deep and cold eyes. Marine regarded it as a demon, again, and all three warships failed to capture it. This made the rumors seem exaggerated to many civilians living on the Grand Line. After all, few pirates on the Grand Line who dare to go to sea are weak. Even if there are some young people who don't know the cruelty of this sea. Could it be that those big pirates, who have been in the Grand Line for a long time and have become famous for several years, are all trash? This is obviously impossible. What's more, it's not a day or two that Marine likes to exaggerate the facts. So this kind of credibility is not enough to deceive those ignorant children. After all, when they were teenagers they didn't know where to play in the mud. Telling them there's a boy now scares the long-established pirates on the Grand Line. How is that different from pointing at a deer and calling it a horse? People are chatting. Somewhere in town. I didn't notice it at all. A Colonel Marine who took off his Marine clothes and disguised himself as a commoner had an extremely serious expression on his face. From time to time, his eyes were fixed on a position not far away. I saw no one in the corner of the tavern. Sitting in a black cloak was a black-haired boy with a unique temperament and impressive handsome appearance. Although the young man drank alcohol with his eyes closed and calm. The tall Marine colonel had a serious expression on his face, and his brows were tightly frowned. No. It can't be wrong. Although I can't see the color of the pupils, how can I meet them here? Damn it. It is obvious that this operation is only to capture the son of the devil, who appeared on this island. Colonel Marine rolled his eyes and his thoughts changed rapidly. Could it be that the news of the operation leaked? Or is it accidental? Damn it, what should I do now? Ask for support from other branches. But in terms of time, is there really enough time? Sudden. The tall Colonel Marine noticed that the black-haired boy got up, and opened a pair of cold eyes with deep red pupils. Almost at this moment, the Colonel Marine's nerves tensed immediately, and a strand of cold sweat appeared on his forehead. Subsequently, when he realized that the boy had just finished drinking, he walked out of the tavern. It took Colonel Marine a long time before he breathed a sigh of relief and sank his hanging heart. Then, the moment Colonel Marine lowered his head, he noticed that his hand just now had subconsciously clenched the phone bug in his pocket, and he couldn't help showing a look of shock on his face. Immediately, Colonel Marine looked up at where the boy had been. He couldn't help swallowing a mouthful of saliva. Red pupils. It can't be wrong. It's that guy. But that aura, and those eyes that made me avoid subconsciously, what exactly did I need to go through to have it? It's just a simple act of getting up and leaving, but it can make my hands uncontrollable. Request support. Damn it, is that the guy that the Grand Line pirates called World Calamity? It's obviously just a young kid. Colonel Marine, who gradually calmed down, gritted his teeth secretly. But it's okay. It seems that I didn't notice my anomaly, and it won't affect the next action to capture the devil's son. Thinking of this, Colonel Marine informed the disguised Marines who were scattered on the island to proceed with the original plan. Afterwards, Colonel Marine couldn't help thinking about the ultimate scene that made his nerves tense just now. Colonel Marine couldn't help but clenched his fists, as if trying to save face for his gaffe just now, secretly said in his heart. Damn it, the World Calamity, in the eyes of the pirates is just a young kid with unbelievable rumors. If it weren't for the arrest of the devil's son, that the headquarters has been planning for a month. I will definitely let those useless pirates know that Marine is the strongest force on the Grand Line. At the same time, just when Colonel Marine was cheering himself up in the bar. As everyone knows, came to Bai Ye outside the bar. He feels the island under his feet that has been flooded by a large number of Marines. Bai Ye's deep red eyes and cold eyes seemed extremely calm. Marine, one of the members of the Star-Crossed Knights I fancy is not so easy to capture. 013. A girl worth 79 million Baileys. Luria Island. This is an island on the edge somewhere on the Grand Line. Because of its special geographical location. So this place is relatively safe compared to other pirate-infested towns on the Grand Line. But, this is just a superficial phenomenon. Behind this seemingly ordinary island. In fact, it is one of the transit stations affiliated with the underground dark world. It's here. Bailey can be used to buy any unknown information, and also perform rewards, kidnapping, assassination and other activities. All in all, it's here. Just enough Bailey. Whether it is civilians, merchants, nobles, pirates, or marines. Anyone can become a customer of the underground dark world. Same. For the word benefit. You can also make people choose to betray and betray without hesitation. At this time, there are many islands of Marines in disguise creeping up on the streets across the town. Marine, who received the news, is secretly carrying out an arrest operation that has been prepared for a long time. For the purpose of this time, and also for the purpose of targeting criminals who are required by the world government. Marine can be said to spare no time in laying a net. Now wait for the target to show up. All Marines disguised as civilians will act immediately. And at this moment, a dark street corner. It's really troublesome for you, and I want you to buy some things again. This is a tall, thin, middle-aged man with glasses and a ponytail, looking kindly, pushing through a secret door on the street and coming out. Afterwards, the middle-aged man looked behind with gentle eyes under the lens. This is a girl whose whole body is hidden in a cloak. The man seemed to see the other party's concerns, so he said in a reassuring tone. Don't worry, I have already come out to look around, there is nothing suspicious, and I am not interested in your identity, and... The tall, thin, middle-aged man took out a bag of Baileys, smiled and added. In the past 2 months, your assistant has worked very hard. He is much better than that idiot before. I can't bear to give up a good assistant, after all. To survive in this dangerous underground dark world, if you don't have a companion you can rely on, it will be really hard. After finishing speaking, the kind-hearted man Gao Jian handed Bailey to the girl, and even forgot to touch the back of his head to show his kindness. The girl heard the words and felt the kindness of the man in front of her. She was silent for a moment. Only then did he take the reward for his hard work, and said softly. Thanks. The tall and thin man nodded and said with a smile. Hurry up. I cooked an extra serving of broth for dinner. If it's late, I won't be able to catch up. Hearing the words, the girl under the black cloak wanted to say that there was no need to prepare her share. But looking at the man in front of me who has been together for 2 months, he really has no interest in her identity at all. The girl nodded, and she turned around to buy the contact materials needed for transactions in the underground dark world. However, the girl under the cloak didn't notice. The tall, thin, middle-aged man with a kind appearance behind her, saw the girl turn around and disappear into the street. Under the man's lens, the originally kind eyes gradually showed a hint of greed for Bailey and money. After all, one of the liaison officers of the transfer station of the underground dark world doesn't make much Bailey every month. Afterwards, the man took out a phone bug and immediately contacted the Marines who were disguised as civilians scattered throughout the town. After all this was done, the man pushed the lens, without hiding the greed in his eyes, and murmured slightly mockingly. Although he is called the son of the devil, he is still not cautious enough and immature. How easy it is to trust others after only 2 months together, little girl, the law of survival in the dark underground world, but you never need to trust anyone, but... Speaking of which, who would have thought that a little girl would be called the son of the devil, and be worth 79 million Baileys at Marine? Tisk, it looks like it'll be cool for a long time next month. When the time comes, should I go to the slave auction to buy a few new toys to play with, or use this money to improve my reputation in the underground dark world? I'm really torn. The man muttered to himself, turned around and opened the secret door and walked in again. As for the tragic fate that the girl betrayed by him will face once she falls into the hands of Marine. He doesn't care at all. In the underground dark world, betrayal is the most common. The man is most concerned about how to get the 79 million Baileys that belong to him as soon as possible. However, just when the tall and thin man thought that all this was seamless. He doesn't know. On a roof in the town below, a young man with red pupils is seeing everything that happened here just now. 014. Boring and ridiculous. Justice. Advertise here. But under the long-term dark life that can only be avoided everywhere, Robin has made up his mind not to trust anyone. Quote. Sorry. Thinking of the kind man just now, Robin murmured in his heart. He went straight to the street in the underground dark world that specializes in selling items according to the usual route. However, just before Robin came to a purchasing vendor. When he took out the Bailey in his pocket and was about to pay, Robin suddenly found that the vendor owner in front of him looked very strange, not the kind old lady a few days ago at all. Instead, it was replaced by a tall man whom he had never seen before. For a moment, the vigilance in his heart suddenly rose, and Robin froze slightly when he stretched out his hand to pass Bailey. How is this going? Next moment, before Robin could react, Robin heard the tall man say with a blank expression. Did I pretend too badly? Or, the man's next words changed the face of the girl under Robin's cloak. You have already discovered that this is a trap. You really deserve to be accused of destroying 6 warships at the age of 8, and known as the existence of the son of the devil, right? Nico Robin. Accompanied by this fully confirmed identity, the voice fell. Robin's heart sank under the cloak, and his blue pupils froze slightly. She exposed. When exactly is this? Before he had time to think too much, Robin decisively threw the purchased materials at the tall man's eyes in an attempt to block his sight. Then, without hesitation, Robin turned around and was about to run away. As a survivor who experienced the events of O'Hara firsthand, Robin knew very well that once he fell into Marine's hands, nothing good would happen to him. However, that's when Robin turned to look for the escape street. Robin's body froze in place. At some point, a large number of Marine guards appeared at the entrances and exits of this familiar street. All the civilians just now disappeared. Now don't talk about blending into the crowd and escaping out. The current situation of being surrounded is no different from that of caged bird. How come? Robin lost her voice, looking at it in disbelief. Behind him, the tall Colonel Marine came slowly, with a cold expression on his face. Stop making unnecessary resistance, Nico Robin, although I don't know what means you used to destroy the 6 warships according to the intelligence, but this time, you will never be able to escape again, waiting for your fate, only to be caught. Capture this choice. No, I'm not the one you're looking for. Robin looked around the predicament and denied it. However, the tall Colonel Marine had no intention of paying attention. I saw him stepping forward to the girl wrapped in a cloak in front of him, and then grabbed the cloak forcibly. I saw that without the cover of the outermost cloak, it was under the sun. This is a black-haired girl who is wearing a shirt and is visible to the naked eye. Her fair skin is very pale because she has not been exposed to sunlight for a long time, and her pupils are blue. The tall Colonel Marine saw this scene, his eyes were cold and he said, "What do you have to say now, son of the devil? Nico Robin, just come with us." While Colonel Marine was speaking, he saw that the Marine soldiers holding the whole street showed their guns one after another, completely cutting off any hope of escape. Robin, whose identity was completely exposed, felt the powerful aura of Marine in front of him. Robin bit his thin lip, recalling all these years, and the tragic death of innocent residents on O'Hara. Her nervous blue pupils gradually calmed down, flashing a flash of determination. "No, don't. I won't go with you. You lackeys of the world government. HMPH. I'm afraid this is beyond your control." Hearing the word, running dog, Colonel Marine snorted coldly. "Marine will not let evil wander in this sea." After finishing speaking, Colonel Marine looked at the girl who was facing a desperate situation and was still trying to resist her fate, and he drew out his weapon decisively. While the order to capture the operation requires it to be live. But the body is injured or disabled. In his eyes. This is also unavoidable. After all, there are not a few cases in which prisoners were beaten, injured and disabled during the arrest operation. Asking to be alive does not mean that it must be intact. Even if the target of arrest this time is only a girl. As long as you don't die, that's enough. Facing Colonel Marine who was chilling every step of the way. Robin knew that this time he might not have the same chance as before. But even so, Robin looked around at the Marines on the nearby streets. At this moment, she bit her thin lips, who had never been so eager for strength in her heart, and she would not choose to let it go. However, just when Robin was ready to use all her strength to resist even if she could not escape the fate of being arrested this time. Suddenly, without any warning, a young boy's voice of undisguised disdain sounded. "Marine won't let the evil wander in the sea. Then why didn't you do it when you were in that bar just now? Or, are the lackeys of the world government also afraid, so they choose to bully those who are weaker than themselves? What a boring and ridiculous justice." 015. The arrogant person in Marine's eyes. Open black lens bracket change close black lens bracket. ... Who? Is there anyone else here? Is it the companion of the devil's son? On the street, the faces of many Marines who were raising their guns to aim changed slightly, subconsciously searching for the source of the sound. Although the owner who made that voice was not too big. But it falls on the ears of everyone on this street, which is now surrounded by a large number of Marines. But it made the presence of Marine feel extremely harsh. The leader was a tall Colonel Marine, and his face immediately became gloomy. After all, this time Marine dispatched an entire branch of troops. The purpose turned out to be just to arrest a girl. Not to mention the trap that was set up on this town, now it is still surrounded. Now this scene, coupled with that sentence, which is completely mocking, that's why Marine chooses to bully someone weaker than himself. Quote. It's hard not to get bogged down. Soon, over there. A Marine with a gun pointed in one direction, and the rest of the Marines followed suit. Thereafter, I saw that this was on a white roof only 20 meters away from the street. Standing in a black cloak, a slender boy with black hair and red pupils has an impressive appearance. I saw that even in front of him was Marine's well-planned arrest operation lineup of Devil's Son. There was no wave on the young man's face at the moment. There was only one pair of deep eyes that revealed disdain, but enough to make anyone dare not look directly at everything that happened below. And the moment this boy's figure caught the eyes of many Marines present. Obviously the boy above did nothing. Just standing here quietly, watching everything that happened here. Marine, who was present, immediately felt an indescribable invisible oppressive force flooding the street. Inadvertently, the nerves and body have been tense. One person, as that guy trying to make an enemy of Marine. Is he crazy? Seeing clearly that the person who came was only a teenager, Marine showed shock on his face. There are also attempts to shoot and kill any Marine who dares to obstruct the world government's order to capture the son of devil and raise his gun. In the next second, the Marine suddenly showed a hint of horror in his eyes, staring at the boy's figure. Body doesn't obey. Quote. Could it be that the aura emanating from that young man's body is enough to make me dare not do it? Damn, what is this? On the street, the eyes of a large number of Marines who gradually came to their senses could not help showing a hint of horror. Curious about the identity of Bai Ye above. And at this moment, facing the impending fate that he could not resist, Robin, who would not give up at all, heard the words. She saw that the person who came was a teenager who was alone. Robin's heart sank suddenly, and a touch of shock appeared in his blue pupils. I saw that it was a teenager about her age. In such a desperate situation, what does the other party plan to do? Still obviously only alone. Could it be that he intends to face the Marine here alone? Or, Robin suddenly thought of a kind middle-aged man. Is this boy a member of the underground dark world? Did you receive a commission to help her? Robin's thoughts changed. At this time, on the street below, the gloomy Colonel Marine's expression changed drastically when he saw the condescending figure. It's you, Bai Ye above. Others may not know. Colonel Marine recognized him immediately. Because of that unique temperament, impressive appearance, and those shocking red pupils that can't be forgotten after just one glance. Undoubtedly it was Bai Ye whom he met by chance not long ago in a bar in the town below his feet. It is also known as the existence of the world disaster by the pirates of the Grand Line in recent years. He who brings blood and death. Nation destroyer. Some rumors involuntarily came to Colonel Marine's mind. This moment, what happened in the bar just now, Bai Ye's just one movement of getting up, caused the picture of his whole body to tense up, as if it appeared before his eyes again. Immediately feeling a huge pressure, Colonel Marine secretly gritted his teeth and clenched his fists. But when you see a lot of Marines all over the street. Colonel Marine breathed a sigh of relief, his tone threatening. You bastard, why did you appear here? Or at this time, are you trying to fight against Marine? Make no mistake, facing the scene in front of you. Bai Ye's eyes seemed to ignore the large number of Marines below. His eyes were on the blue-eyed girl surrounded by Marine below. Looking at that future will become the face he was all too familiar with before time travel. Bai Ye said to Robin unhurriedly. Follow me, walk. Hear the word. Robin's blue pupils widened involuntarily, and a look of shock appeared on the girl's face. Or, looking at the large number of Marines who were obviously arresting her nearby. There was only one figure of that boy. But there was inexplicable convincing force in his opening. As if, the boy's figure was obviously just standing there. However, at the moment of speaking, it snatches all light from the island below. Alone reflected in that person. There was a huge gap between the large number of Marines nearby and the boy alone. But it made the invisible and terrifying pressure felt by everyone present aggravated again. That feeling. It's just like the strong are looking down on the ants. A large number of well-equipped Marines present were regarded as nothing by Bai Ye. For a while, Robin was a little dazed about the originally hopeless world in front of him. But at this moment, an untimely angry roar sounded. You damn guy, do you think this is your back garden? He actually wanted to take away the devil's son in front of Marine. Do you know what you are doing? The devil's son was personally named and asked to be arrested by the world government. If you do this, you are offending the Marine government and the world government at the same time. You will definitely regret it. Son of the devil, do not forget, your existence is to hurt others. Do you still plan to continue to hurt others? Quote. As soon as the words came out, Robin, who was still in a trance, came back to his senses. Her blue pupils looked at Bai Ye in front of her again. In a trance, Robin's pupils froze, and the hope ignited in his heart seemed to be extinguished by being poured with cold water. Because Robin knew clearly that those harsh words were true. After several years of continuous escape, there are countless people who have been implicated by her in the sea. And anyone who dares to associate with her. Without exception, they are regarded as existences that must be eliminated by the Marine and world government. Under this premise, Robin hesitated, knowing that Bai Ye's strength is very strong. There is no doubt about this. Dare to face Marine alone is the best proof. But once it has something to do with her. So, what they will face are the two behemoths, the Marine government and the world government. Today's Robin is no longer the simple girl in the past. With the constant replacement of fleeing towns and hiding in the underground dark world. The more clearly Robin can feel the powerful forces of the Marine government and the world government. That is powerful enough to make anyone despair. Even if it is the sum of all the kings of the underground dark world. It is absolutely powerful that even dare not fight against it. Robin bit his thin lip, and the girl's hand was tightly held. However, suddenly, it was a word that made Robin raise his head suddenly, and his heart was hit like never before. I saw Bai Ye looking around at the large number of Marines nearby, and said in the horror of countless people. Offended the Marine government and the world government. Regret it. While speaking, Bai Ye's eyes revealed an indifference that made everyone on the island under their feet palpitate. Don't get one thing wrong. In my eyes, the Marine government and the world government are just a bunch of running dogs and things destined to be wiped out, nothing more. Quote. What? The indifferent tone fell, and the brains of the many Marines present went blank for an instant, and it was as if a bomb had been dropped in their ears, buzzing. This moment. Face Bai Ye. Everyone's first impression. That's a madman. The unprecedented lunatic on this sea. Then, there was an uncontrollable fear in their hearts. Because this guy in front of him dared to openly refer to the world government as a thing destined to be wiped out and decayed. In a sense, what is the difference between that teenager's actions and a blatant declaration of war on the world government? Damn it, you wicked evil pirate, don't be too arrogant. Colonel Marine's forehead bulged with veins, and he roared angrily. Facing this scene, there was no wave in Bai Ye's eyes. Arrogance. Bai Ye murmured. At this moment, Bai Ye released an incomparable soaring, Reiatsu, and said slowly. When there is a battle where the two sides are not equal in strength, it will be considered arrogant for the weaker side to fight first, and you. Boom, boom, boom. Witnessing the terrified body one by one uncontrollably kneeling on the ground, and then the Marine lying on the ground with big characters in his whole body. Bai Ye raised his left hand and seemed to ask, do you think you have the qualifications to regard the enemy as arrogant? 016. Scary Reiatsu. Marine's action has become a joke before he even makes a move. Open black lens bracket, edit close black lens bracket. Advertise here. ... Boom, boom. It was almost the moment Bai Ye's voice fell. The almost endless soaring sky Reiatsu has descended on the island under his feet with those indifferent eyes. Even the sea in the distance. Visible to the naked eye. The black robe was blown by the invisible Reiatsu. Focus on that young figure. The sky began to change color. Under the huge invisible pressure, the space trembled violently, even distorted. The sea in the distance of the port is unstoppably rippling, setting off waves of rippling waves. This moment. Plop, plop, plop. It's not just the Marine on this street. Everyone on the entire island was crushed to the ground by this sudden and terrifying invisible force, and their hearts were horrified. This breath, what the hell is it? Is someone crazy? Release conquerors on this island backed by a dark underground world. Aren't you afraid of revenge from the underground dark world? All kinds of palpitations and fears emerged. Feel the invisible pressure from afar on the island. Someone tried to stand up by force. Want to know what happened on this island? However, face that Reiatsu that is still rising. Visible to the naked eye. Some people have blue veins on their foreheads. The finger that had just been lifted was almost immediately pressed to the ground again. From that face congested has become the color of pig liver. It can be seen that the pressure that everyone on this island is under at this time. Some people even discovered it in horror. Obviously the direction of the pressure is another direction on the island. But it is precisely because the whole person is stuck to the ground. They felt it suddenly. It's not just people who are affected by that invisible pressure. Even the ground below him, and even this island. They were shaking violently. Are you kidding? Such a terrifying. Conquerors. Hockey. Could it be that the Sea Emperor of New World came to this island? Countless people's hearts trembled. Next thought. It is this island that serves as a transfer station for the underground darkness. Someone immediately tried to pass on what happened here to the underground dark world. ... And at this moment, street here, facing the soaring invisible Reiatsu unleashed by Bai Ye. People from other parts of the island can't even move a finger. One can imagine, what kind of terrible pressure is the Marine here? Compared to those who cannot move. This place bears Reiatsu's massive Marine directly at close range. Some people have already started fainting and spitting out blood. Even death on the spot. This power. Are you kidding me? Is it really the power that humans should have? At this time, the former Colonel Marine witnessed the scene of hell on this street. I couldn't stop my heart from setting off a huge wave. Reluctantly raising his head, he looked at the figure that was obviously just a boy. But like a lonely emperor, he watched everything in front of him indifferently. Colonel Marine suddenly realized at this moment. Why is the boy in front of me regarded as a world disaster by the Grand Line pirates in recent years? The one who brings blood and death wherever he goes. But the opponent hasn't made a move yet. The release of conquerors alone caused such a terrifying shock. All the Marines who had been very sure about capturing the Devil's Son lost their ability to fight. What the hell? How to make him accept it? Damn it! Colonel Marine roared. However, no matter how unwilling he is, I don't want to believe everything in front of me. But everything that is happening in reality right now. It was the boy who broke into the Marine capture operation alone. Facing the large number of Marines present, the opponent hasn't made a move yet. Only by releasing the unprecedented conquerors, hockey. It is that the capture operation that completely cost Marine a lot of time, manpower, material resources, and arrangements has become a joke. As in, when there is a battle where the strengths of the two sides are not equal, the weaker side will be regarded as arrogant. And at this moment, they couldn't even raise their hands. Are there really qualities to be considered enemies? And at this very moment, Bai Ye faced the scene in front of him. There was no surprise in Bai Ye's red pupils. As a traverser, Bai Ye is very clear. Reiatsu in the Shinigami world is a symbol representing the power of the Shinigami, Hollow, and Quincy itself. It's like Shinigami's own power is stronger. Reiatsu corresponds to a stronger sense of oppression. Although Bai Ye is neither Shinigami nor virtual. But don't forget, Bai Ye with the Yohbach template. Even though he only has 1/3 of the power of Yohbach when he was less than omnipotent. But as the ancestor of all Quincy masters in the world. Even looking at the entire Shinigami world, there aren't many Shinigami that can compare to it. And, this is the result of Bai Ye not releasing all Reiatsu. Otherwise, all life on this island. It is possible to be killed in an instant. 017. Bai Ye, don't speak wild words easily, that is synonymous with weakness. Rumbling. This moment, Marine's playfulness should be enough. Bai Ye's eyes moved, put it on Colonel Marine, who was trying to forcibly stand up, and his bones creaked. Hearing this, the tall Colonel Marine's pupils froze, and his eyes flickered with disbelief. Playing around. Immediately, a nameless anger was born from the deepest part of my heart. The guy in front of him actually regarded the arrest operation carefully planned by Marine and the world government as a joke. What a joke. I saw this Colonel Marine gritted his teeth, and some kind of change began to take place in his whole body. You horrible monster. No, don't underestimate people. Black hair grows from the body surface. The further enlarged body broke through Colonel Marine's costume. The 5 fingers of the palm exposed sharp nails one by one, and began to turn into sharp claws. The forehead with bulging veins gradually turned into a huge black bear's head. The ground crumbles. In a blink of an eye, the Marine Colonel turned into a 5 or 6 meter tall black bear, roaring to the sky. This is Colonel Green's Devil Fruit ability. Zone Bear Fruit Black Bear form. Very good. Colonel Green is about to show his true strength. Marine, who was nearby and hadn't passed out, witnessed this scene. Suddenly, there was an inexplicable sense of self-confidence. However, bearing fruit. Is it a zone devil fruit that I haven't seen before? Hear the name. Bai Ye subconsciously thought of the meatball fruit of the tyrant bear in Shichibukai. Ability can be described as very powerful. But this bear is not a bear. And, not enough to make Bai Ye pay attention. Next moment. This is under Bai Ye's indifferent gaze. The Reiatsu released on the body is further strengthened again. I saw it under this invisible force of terror. A large number of Marines who were originally present died directly. This is where Reiatsu is completely different from Conqueror's Haki character. Before Conqueror's Haki can only master the entanglement attack at the top level, the power of Conquerors acts more on the spiritual impact. Although Reiatsu can make people faint, it is biased towards gravity-like pressure and focuses on substantial damage. Then, first saw Colonel Marine, who had barely supported half of his body with his Zone Devil Fruit ability, face the sudden and intensified pressure. Visible to the naked eye. Boom. One sound. The huge body with the ability to activate was once again firmly crushed to the ground. This time, a wisp of cold sweat involuntarily surfaced on the other party's forehead. How is it possible? You are such a powerful guy. Didn't you show your real strength just now? Colonel Marine looked at Bai Ye in shock. Bai Ye's indifferent eyes revealed a touch of calm. Now you should understand. Don't speak wild words easily, that will only be a synonym for your weakness. The voice fell. A look of indifference appeared in Bai Ye's eyes. Die. This farce that only belongs to Marine should end. What? Colonel Marine's heart trembled. Feel a desperate breath of death coming. Just about to say something. No. Wait. However, in front of the further incomparable Reiatsu unleashed by Bai Ye. Blood began to spurt from the mouth. Bones all over the body began to snap. A Marine colonel doesn't even have the qualifications to make a shot. Just like that, it became a corpse. And this is a chilling scene. If only the people of the Grand Line knew. It is bound to shake the entire Grand Line in an instant. And at this time, finished with the boring Marine farce, here. Bai Ye looked back at the girl figure below. It is the goal of Bai Ye's trip. It is also one of Bai Ye's favorite future members of the Star-Crossed Knights. Son of the Devil, Nico Robin. Have you considered it? Be my subordinate, no need to hide in the dark, and after seeing what happened here with my own eyes, if the ideal you long for now is power, I can bestow it on you. Follow me, and you will witness that what I just said is true. After finishing speaking, Bai Ye looked down at Robin, who was shocked by an unprecedented shock. Bai Ye just quietly waited for Robin's answer. But suddenly, Bai Ye turned his head to look at a certain direction in the sea of the island under his feet. It seems that before this, there's one more little thing to fix. Quote. Small things. Robin gradually recovered from the shock in front of him. She subconsciously looked in the direction of Bai Ye's gaze. Next second, a look of surprise appeared in Robin's eyes. Because of the girl's gaze. The little things in Bai Ye's mouth. It actually refers to. Robin watched in the distance as the blue and white warship suddenly appeared against the skies of seagulls. That is, the CP-0 of the intelligence agency under the world government. 018. CP-0, Stussie's shock. Advertise here. In the hot sun. Maritime. The blue and white warship that suddenly appeared was so conspicuous. There is also a unique flag waving in the wind above. Its logo symbolizes the behemoth holding the supreme power behind it, ruling the world, the Red Line, and even the Grand Line. World government. And at this very moment, the main body is on the deck of a white warship. The people in Marine are really trash. Even a simple arrest operation went like this. Holding a telescope in his hand and wearing a red mask, a long-handed man who represented his CP0 identity shook his head and said with disdain. Although the order we received was for us to supervise the capture of these Marines, no mistakes are allowed. But those Marines can't even perform their duties as lackeys. Tisk tisk, what a waste. Now, even if we don't want to intervene, can't we? After all, quote. When the CP0 member of the long-handed family said this, a cruel light appeared in the eyes under the red mask. Son of the devil. Nico Robin, but the bigwigs in the world government called for the one who must be captured, right? Kales. After speaking, the CP0 members of the long-handed family spread their hands and turned to look at the front deck. I saw that the other four were a combination of 3 men and 1 woman, all wearing white suits and masks of different styles. Identity is self-evident. These people belong to the CP0 organization, a special intelligence agency under the world government. And after the 4 heard the words, the voice first came from under the mask of the graceful figure with female features. Speaking of this matter, you should thank me very much. If this island does not belong to the sphere of influence of the underground dark world, I don't have extra time to inform you that there has been a change in the capture operation of Marine on that island. Hey, don't worry, Stussy, after the matter is over, we will not forget to report your achievements to the big shots. Simple dialogue falls. If there are personnel from the underground dark world on this warship at this time, you must be stunned. Stussy, that is the Queen, who controls the underground dark world Happy Street, and is one of the 6 kings alongside the giants of the underground dark world. Behind its true identity, it turned out to be a member of the CP0 organization affiliated to the world government. I believe that this identity can definitely detonate the entire underground dark world in an instant. Okay, Harper, don't call your companions by name directly when performing tasks, so as not to be overheard. Another man who was a CP0 member who was tall and thin but was 5 meters tall suddenly spoke. I know. The CP0 member of the long-handed family named Harper nodded quickly, not staying too much on this topic. Instead, he looked at the island with his eyes under the red mask. Excitement appeared on the face under the mask. But it's amazing, do you feel it? Even though we are at sea, we can still feel the terrible sense of invisible oppression. It really makes people wonder who is not afraid of death to dare to meddle in the affairs of Marine and world government. If I remember correctly, the last place related to the Devil's Son, the whole town was cleaned by us, right? Quote. Snort. The CP0 members, who are 5 meters tall and slender, heard this. Listening to the companion who likes to fight, he said coldly in a deep voice. No matter who dares to sabotage the capture operation personally intervened by the world government, there will always be only one end. That is death. Quote. After finishing speaking, the 5 meter tall and thin CP0 member jumped up suddenly, using moonwalk to rush towards the island in front of him first. Behind him, the long-handed man saw this, and his face changed under the mask. Hey, you bastard, you have to leave the battle to me. You don't have to take credit for it. Seeing his companions take the lead, the CP0 members of the long-handed family quickly cast moonwalk and followed. Thus, the CP0 members on the warship are now only 2 men and 1 woman. Stussy stood on the deck and saw the anxious 2. She rubbed her temples with her fingertips, and looked at the man on the deck who had never said a word. Master Kales, is it really good to let them do their foolishness like this? It seems that the person who dared to obstruct the world government's arrest operation this time was not an easy one. Quote. As he spoke, Stussy looked at the man whose body was the closest to that of an ordinary person, with a back-faced man behind the mask. Hearing this, the man was silent and said, It doesn't matter, Stussy, you who are also from CP0 should know best. We are not an intelligence agency with pure cognition in the eyes of the world. You should know their strength the best, right? Stussy laughed apologetically. It seems that Mr. Kales has already made up his mind, so I will wait here for you to resolve the matter. After all, in my capacity, if someone hears something on this island, the impact will be difficult to deal with. Snort. As soon as the words fell, another man in the sunflower mask snorted coldly. If you don't want to contribute, you don't want to contribute. This woman also found an excuse that the influence is difficult to deal with. Could it be that this woman really doesn't know, they're scavengers? Will there be any survivors left on that island? Sure enough, he has been in the underground dark world for a long time. He even forgot his duty. On the side, Stussy didn't take it as a sign of dissatisfaction with another CP0 member. In her opinion, since the adults responsible for the action have spoken, still foolishly trying to contribute, isn't this asking for trouble for yourself? There are others who like to do things, and it is the best choice for her to stay behind the scenes like this. With this thought, Stussy looked back towards the island that came ashore. However, at this moment, the attention was refocused on the towns on the island. Accompanied by the sound of boom, a figure flew upside down. Stussy's face under the mask couldn't help changing, and a look of surprise flashed across his pupils. Quote. How can it be? I saw what Stussy looked at. The figure that flew back was not someone else. 019. Bai Ye CP 0 feet, let's go together, light modification. Advertise here. This is Harper. Following the figure of the long-handed man flying back, boom. Sounded like a shell piercing through the deck heavily, and thick smoke rose everywhere. Besides Stussy, CP0 members wearing sunflower masks saw this scene clearly. His pupils could not help but slowly widen, and there was an unavoidable look of shock in his eyes. Suddenly, he looked towards the direction of the town ahead. What is it? As the world's strongest cipher POLCP0, under the world government. They are not only the intelligence agency in the eyes of the world, but also the privately unknown scavenger of the world government. It can be said, in order to better meet this identity, each CP0 member is born after strict selection. Under the premise of having professional intelligence capabilities as the basis requirement. Every member who joins the cipher pool intelligence organization needs to thoroughly master the 6 forms. In terms of their personal strength alone, they are not comparable to those half-baked players in CP9 or Marine who only master 1.5 of the 6 styles. But it is under this premise. What did they see at this point? Normally, one person can easily assassinate the companion of an important member of the kingdom. From going to that town with the moonwalk, to being like a cannonball flying back. The time interval in between. Not even more than tens of seconds. How can this be? However, this seemingly impossible scene actually happened. And it happened right before their eyes. And just when this idea was born. The faces of Stussy and the others changed again under the masks. On the town ahead, accompanied by a young figure who looked like a lonely emperor watching them indifferently, suddenly appeared. The young man has an indifferent demeanor, black hair, and a pair of deep and indifferent red pupils that startle people. Stussy and the others could clearly see it. Some kind of blue lines faintly flowing on his hands. It was a 5-meter tall figure with a broken neck. The identity can be confirmed from the long staff of the indigenous mask in his left hand. It was the CP0 member who first came to the island at the foot. How is it possible? Even Maha, the CP0 member wearing a sunflower mask, screamed in shock. Although those 2 are the weakest among the 5 of them. But it's not that the 2 lost so fast. Could it be that? The guy who dared to offend the Marine government and the world at the same time? Is it the ambitious big pirate forces entrenched in New World? If so, Sunflower Mask CP0 members' heart sank. This kind of result is the last thing the bigwigs in the world government want to see. Thoughts are constantly changing. Soon, all these thoughts were interrupted by Bai Ye's voice. CP0. I remember it is also known as the strongest shield of celestial dragons, right? At this time, above town, Bai Ye watched the 3 of Stussy and threw away the corpse in his hand. Then the words that shocked his heart were revealed in the calm voice. Let's go together. Bai Ye has no intention of wasting time with CP0. His purpose here has been achieved. The island under his feet has lost its value. Although the appearance of CP0 is unexpected. But take advantage of this opportunity. Bai Ye also wants to see the true strength of CP0, which is known as the strongest shield of celestial dragons. As for the 2 who ignored Bai Ye just now and were about to snatch Robin. The strength obviously did not meet Bai Ye's expectations. And right after Bai Ye finished speaking. Do it. The shocked Stussy and the CP0 man in the sunflower mask exchanged glances. The 2 immediately made a decision. Shave. Use your feet. The sound of breaking the air sounded. The speed of the CP0 members of the sunflower mask has skyrocketed to ultimate. Finger pistol cracking cone. You bastard, go to hell. The sound of fury sounded. The figure appeared in front of Bai Ye almost instantly. I saw the jet black armed color covering the fingertips, condensed in one point. Demonstrated its terrifying power. However, facing this imminent attack, Bai Ye's eyes were indifferent but revealing calmness. It's just like, from the very beginning, Bai Ye had no intention of paying attention to the attack in front of him. And at this moment, suddenly, seeing this scene, the taciturn CP0 man looked at Stussy, who didn't even make a move. Aren't you going to make a move? Ah, isn't Lord Kales also waiting to see the reality of the other party? Stussy smiled slightly. The taciturn CP0 headed man surprisingly added a sentence. What a cold and heartless woman. Upon hearing this, Stussy neither responded nor refuted. Among the 5, Stussy knew it all too well. After seeing the 2 lose one after another, Kales was still very calm. It's because Kales and those 2 people, and even the CP0 members who are shooting now, are not at the same level of strength at all. Although she is not weak, but if she has the opportunity to understand the strength of the enemy, she will naturally hide behind. With this thought, Stussy looked ahead at the battle. However, this is a scene that is enough to make Stussy's pupil feel horrified for a moment. I saw that the extremely powerful finger pistol hit the target firmly. Can be seen, but some kind of blue lines appeared on Bai Ye's body. That finger pistol that has the power to pierce through any stone. It turned out to be like hitting some kind of indestructible object. Don't take half an inch. Witnessed this scene. There was a look of shock on Stussy's face under the mask. Now think of the two who were suddenly defeated just now. Look at the finger pistol moves that don't even make an inch of the 6 moves. Stussy suddenly realized. Bai Ye's phrase, "Let's do it together," is not a joke at all. 020. Kill easily. Crushing battle. Advertise here. ... And at this moment, what is this? Witnessing Bai Ye who was unharmed in front of him. The pupils of the Sunflower Mask CP0 members shrank involuntarily, and their eyes shone with unbelievable shock. His 6 style, finger pistol cracking cone, is just like its name. With shaved, armed color, finger pistol, the perfect combination of the 3 powers. It has the terrifying power to easily destroy the gates of any kingdom's city. Relying on this trick, he was invincible in the cleaning operation issued by the world government in the past. However, it is this kind of destructive power that is enough to destroy the gate of a kingdom in an instant. It's actually on human flesh and blood. For the first time in my life nothing works. Don't say that you can directly penetrate and blow up half of the enemy's body. At this moment, he couldn't even make Bai Ye back half a point. How can this be? Is the person in front of you really a body of flesh and blood? Or, that terrifying physical strength is similar to one of the sea emperors who ruled the New World site, a natural monster like Big Mom. No, even the Big Mom of the Big Mom pirates. Faced with this trick, it shouldn't be unscathed. A wisp of cold sweat flowed directly on the forehead of the Sunflower Mask CP0 member. And at this moment, Bai Ye didn't pay attention to the other party. Instead, like teaching in person, he said slowly in a voice that Robin could hear. This is a static blood outfit, which can increase the defense of the body to ultimate, relatively. Bai Ye raised his head and looked at the CP0 member wearing a sunflower mask in front of him. There was a terrifying sense of oppression in the red pupils. With the power to increase the physical defense to ultimate, there is the power to enhance the physical and destructive power. Bai Ye clenched his fist with 5 fingers, and the faint lines on his body transformed into another pattern. This is exactly another ability that no matter a pure-blooded Quincy or a mixed-blooded Quincy can master. Bloody outfit. The principle is to directly inject the Quincy spirit seeds into the blood vessels, which can instantly increase the destructive power of the body by several levels. Bai Ye originally wanted to give Robin the Quincy power and explain it later. But someone with CP0 shows up here. Explaining nature is far better than witnessing it with your own eyes. And at this moment, the unbelievable Sunflower Mask CP0 members saw Bai Ye clenched his fist with 5 fingers, and there was no armament hockey's power on it, and he directly bombarded it. He couldn't help but his face darkened, and he gritted his teeth. You evil person. Although I don't know what kind of trick you used, but the weak attack that even hockey doesn't have depends on how I block it. Every part of the body was tense, and both fists were clenched. The member of Sunflower Mask CP0 shouted loudly. 6 forms iron body advanced mountainless. Jit. Don't be careless. Later, seeing this extremely stupid scene, the expression of the taciturn leader CP0 man suddenly changed. Rubbing his forehead with his fingertips, Stussy silently took a step back. Although she also found that Bai Ye's simple fist attack did not come with hockey power. However, Stussy did not believe that Bai Ye's attack was as simple as it seemed on the surface. After all, the physical strength is terrifying enough to withstand the monster of the finger pistol cracking cone, head on. It made Stussy inevitably think of Charlotte Linlin. That is the evil god, who was called a natural destroyer by the giants and destroyed the villages of the giants at the age of 6. One can imagine, judging from the display of terrifying physical strength just now, there will inevitably be a corresponding terrorist attack power. Not to mention, as a spectator, looking at the impressive appearance of a boy with black hair and red pupils. There was a solemn look on Stussy's face under the mask. As one of the 6 kings of the underground dark world, Stussy's immediate boss is 5 elders. Therefore, the intelligence value in her hands is not comparable to that of ordinary CP0 members. Therefore, Stussy vaguely thought of a rumor that was inadvertently revealed by those big men in the Holy Land. Now, Stussy can only hope that rumor isn't true. Otherwise, I'm afraid those big shots won't even sleep well in the future. Thoughts flickered. Stussy looked at Kales, the leader in charge of this CP0 operation. I saw Kales scolded a fool, and put his left hand on his waist to saber. Finally couldn't hold back and started. The first 2 are chumps, there's no denying that. But with the appearance of the 3rd idiot, it has been enough to prove one thing from the side. The sinful man with black hair and red eyes. If you leave it alone, in the future, it will inevitably become a huge hidden danger enough to threaten the world government. Currently there are enough monsters in New World. Neither the Marine government nor the world government will allow any new threats to be born. Therefore, as the private scavenger of the world government. In any case, the threat must be nip in the bud. Is it finally done? Seeing the man led by the taciturn CP0 pull out a saber from his waist. It shows that this is a swordsman. A slash wave visible to the naked eye flew directly from a distance. But this does not affect the fall of Bai Ye's attack. I saw that Bai Ye's fist easily broke through the iron body defense. Highlights even without armed color. The terrifying power contained in Bai Ye's blow. At the same time, the moment he shot the sunflower mask CP0 member flying hundreds of meters like a shell. Face the incoming slash wave. Bai Ye's fist was suddenly stained with a jet black luster. Shocked by Stussy and the leading CP0 member Kales who released the slash, he was smashed to pieces. The absence of armed colors means that Bai Ye, who has lived near 9 Snake Island since childhood, has not mastered armed colors. Simply use the blood-moving outfit. It's just that Bai Ye wanted to see how much he could do with this body alone while demonstrating. As for the swordsmanship of the leading CP0 member who rushed over later. It's full of flaws. Single quote. This is Bai Ye's evaluation from the bottom of his heart. Yohbach is the ancestor of all Quincy masters in the world. Sword skills may not be considered outstanding in the Shinigami world. However, during the long Millennium experience, Yohbach has continuously absorbed a large number of souls through the passage, and the accumulation of swordsmanship experience is naturally far from comparable to that of the swordsman of the One Piece world. The same is true for Bai Ye. Although the swordsmanship of this person in front of him is undeniably close to that of a great swordsman. But, after all, he is not a real great swordsman. Converted to Marine, the strength is at most close to the quasi-admiral level. This level is also in line with Bai Ye's guess. Otherwise, if the elite members of CP0 can easily reach the level of the great swordsman. The scope of world government rule will not be limited to the first half of 4 Cs, Red Line, and Grand Line. Those so-called top 4 emperors pirates in New World, taking the lead to make the world government afraid. And at this very moment, I have seen the general strength of these CP0 members. Bai Ye, who didn't waste time going down, saw the CP0 members who attacked again. Bai Ye noticed that the other party's real target was Nico Robin. He planned to use this to distract Bai Ye, and then the real charged attack was aimed at himself. Face this scene. The indifference and coldness in Bai Ye's eyes remained unchanged. Because in Bai Ye's view, this is fundamental. Meaningless. Eyes with red pupils focus. In the eyes of Bai Ye, who has the perception to reach the transparent world that symbolizes the highest realm. The opponent's thoughts, the trajectory of the release of the slash, the movement, and even the weaknesses of the whole body. Without exception, everything is presented in front of Bai Ye as if in slow motion. Coupled with the huge gap in swordsmanship strength between the two. Full of flaws. This evaluation is not exaggerated. Okay, I got it. The man named Kales headed by CP0 is completely ignorant and seen through. The moment the slash fell, my heart sank. However, it was a solitary light that pierced the air and disappeared in a flash. Next second. This was when Kale's pupils suddenly widened. He saw an arm holding a knife thrown high into the sky with blood lines. That familiar arm, and that saber. Without a doubt, it was his own arm. What the hell? What happened? Thoughts popped up. Regardless of the severe pain, he looked forward. The pupils froze involuntarily. I don't know when. On Bai Ye's right hand in front of him is a black knife with a white blade, a black back and handle, and a handguard that looks like an eagle soaring into the sky. This monster, is it still a swordsman? Kales and Bai Ye's indifferent red pupils looked at each other. At this moment, a strong sense of suffocation rose from the bottom of my heart. All kinds of thoughts frantically emerged. Owner of Conqueror's Hockey. Almost not the physical strength of a human body of flesh and blood. The responsiveness of pervert, and those eyes that are enough to see through anyone's thoughts. Any of the above is enough to be regarded by CP0 as a proof that it can potentially become a threat to the world government. However, all of these, but all of them are concentrated in one person. And Bai Ye's swordsmanship now. Without a doubt, this is an unprecedented monster that has not yet been recorded by CP0. A monster among monsters that is completely different from the geniuses and monsters that CP0 has known in the past, and even the top pirates in New World. You bastard, what else are you hiding? Kales groaned. The one who greeted him was Bai Ye, who was holding the extermination cross saber, and fell down with a slash. It split into two under Bai Ye's indifferent gaze. The corpse fell to the ground mixed with blood. From the beginning to the end, I have no intention of hiding. It's just that you world government doesn't know me well enough, that's all. Quote. Looking at the corpse on the ground, Bai Ye said. It's just a pity. The leading CP0 member who has turned into a corpse is doomed not to hear these words.